How's it going?
Hi, I'm Chef Lee.
Chevley?
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Russell.
Jim, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, welcome you guys.
Thanks. We're just playing.
I'm gonna change my clothes.
All right.
I had a long
Why
drive.
change? You look great.
Huh?
Do you feel like you're in work?
I'm in work mode, yeah. I want to watch.
Want to be
He
in
needs to
the...
get rid of the energy.
We're not filming tonight, right?
No, he needs to get rid of
Oh,
the
yeah, he
energy
is.
off
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah,
And,
I like to.
yeah.
My uncle, my late uncle, my Uncle Marv, when I went to Montana when I was a freshman in high school, my favorite uncle, he came out to visit my Uncle Al, who was out there, was my other favorite uncle. And Marv, after we were all done in Montana, he said, why don't you come back with me? And I went back to Washington. I was still a freshman in high school. And then when I went to college, I went up there and I stayed with him for a summer. And he always told me, well, the first thing he told me was, go in and change your clothes, come back out, we're gonna have a drink. And we do that almost every night.
Exactly what my parents do.
Yeah.
That's exact. I
And he
mean,
goes,
that's where I was
"That's
raised.
My doctor says, first thing you do when you come home, you change your clothes, you have a drink.
Yeah.
Well, I don't always have a drink, but I like to change my clothes.
Because you change your clothes because it changed your mode where you are.
Because I'm all like
Yeah, it's
infectious
the-
and
it's
nasty,
also the
so-
energy. You
The
reset
trend
your
goes
clock.
off.
Yeah.
Goo all over me.
Make
So I'm
the
like,
trend.
okay, everything's going off. It's in the washer, and I'm like traipsing around the place.
So,
Cheers.
what time are we
Cheers.
starting tomorrow?
We're at 9.
Okay, good.
I gotta refill.
And then I want to.
I know, and it's beautiful. I know, it's beautiful, but that is such a cool table. I want that table. I have 2 barrels right now. Like, what I want to do is get a great slab of wood and put it on top, and then have those, like, those high bar stools. You know, that is, what an awesome look that is. I love that rusticness, you know? I like modern, but I like rustic. And I like Russell. I
Talk
have
to me.
I have a 7-foot piece of glass that was in my dining room in Arizona.
I have glass.
This is a cut piece of glass just for the dining room table, 7 foot long.
I have that. Have you been to my house?
Yeah.
Okay, you know my dining. That's my
I sat
side
at
of
your
the
dining room
7
table and
Yes.
ate food at your
Yes,
dining
you
room
did.
table.
Okay, I'm very happy about that. So can you hear us? You can hear us, Russell, right? This is going right into your headphones. Yes.
I see the eyeballs moving. That was being
Maybe doesn't wanna
affirmative.
speak. It was an affirmative. The head nodded. So, so Jim, we're really excited about coming. You guys are the first. You're going to be the first winery that we're going to be interviewing.
And I don't know
I just
how we're
realized I
going
have
to do this
glasses
when you
on my
start out
head.
with the best. I don't know. You're going to start out with the best.
Well, the thing about Napa Valley wines is that so many of them are so good. Castillo de Amorosa. Castillo de Amorosa has been what? They've been there how long?
Well, opened in 1993.
93. So, okay, 18 years. Whatever.
This is what do we have here? We have La Castellana, the Super Tuscan blend. This is 74 cap, 16 Merlot, 12% Sangiovese.
I love Sangiovese.
No, we opened in '93. Started construction in '93, and then opened to the public in 2007.
So,
Would
So
you like
it's
to try
two-
some La Castellana?
is that what I have in my glass?
Yeah.
I would love to have a little more. Good.
So a little over 5 years, and we're still popular.
And the castle, it's 16th century, 18th century?
14th,
14th. I had 16th.
largely 13th, 14th century.
13th, 14th
But
century.
architectural periods starting in the 8th century and spanning to about the 14th or 15th century.
And did you?
Castles would evolve over time. Every 100 or 200 years, thereuld be a new addition, and styles would change, or you had wars, or you had, the plague would come through, and things would change. So.
And are the materials that are in the castle, are they Italian? Are they American?
A lot of the brick comes from Italy. Some of it comes from the Habsburg dynasty in Austria, and much of it is over 200 years old, and it's combined with local stone. So we have about 8,000 tons of local stone. Those all hand squared by hand hewn by hand in a rock quarry, basically, for 2 years with about 18 guys. It's quite a story. It's quite a story.
And it's quite a castle.
Yes, big castle.
So that's funny that it's from Austria, and George is from Austria, isn't he?
George is from Austria.
And was there any connection there? Was he involved from the beginning?
So
or?
tomorrow, when you do the tour, one of the things I want to tell you about in the Grand Barrel Room, when we get there, is the story of how that all came to be. and the story of Dario and Fritz Gruber. So I will save that for tomorrow.
Okay.
That's a great story,
All right.
and it's fun.
Good.
Yeah,
Well, good. We
it's-
like funny.
Yeah, it's fun.
We like
Yeah.
funny. We like interesting. We like this wine.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Color temperature rooms for serving wine. That's
Summer
why I
temperature,
know I'm going
yes.
to love the castle.
Oh, the castle's in Maine.
Did you?
It's an option, but no, actually,
It would be nice.
That's kind of an
especially if it's in a
interesting
tasting
idea.
I know. But I think that we don't want to pour that much.
No, you'd have to have the logo all the way down there.
But you could bring the logo down.
You could, yeah. So it's
Well,
really
that
right that
sounds-
one.
And
that's
right, and
good.
it just goes
Yeah.
to the bottom of Napa Valley.
To the lowest.
Yeah, it would be an option. You're right. But you like the smaller one or the bigger one? If you look at this is like a 30%.
Alright.
This is a 50%.
I
yeah,
like
increase.
that one too.
You like the better
Yeah,
one? It's
uh-huh.
kind of
Yeah.
fits better the.
Yeah. Very nice. The glass is very nice.
Yeah, it kind of is good. Feels good in your hand. That's
Mm-hmm.
really what is important with a glass, I think.
I always sniff the wine on the outside rim of the glass. So to me, the where the glass hits me is always
Yeah.
important
Yeah.
because I always sniff on the outside. rim.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever done the Riedel glass seminar? Have you ever done that?
No.
I was supposed to do it.
That is
I
pretty
didn't
fun.
do it,
I have to
yeah.
say, and it's really good. And now I do understand that Riedel did not want to invest in that glass because it would ruin him.
Right.
Because, you know,
He's
he
got this
lives because he has 30
science,
different
right.
classes.
Right.
So why would he invest in a class that's all for one?
Right.
But for using in a winery and for daily business, I think it's an exceptional class.
I
nice.
agree. I like the shape, and that shape came out of Italy originally.
Yeah,
Didn't
it
it
does.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think, you know, he shaped it inside a little. There's a little.
Yeah. I see
Thing
the.
here. So, yeah, I think that makes a difference. I like it.
Glass.
Yes,
Huh?
it is.
I have some that are the wider bowl at the
Yeah.
bottom and with a little sharper bend
Sure.
to it.
Yeah.
And then, but when you go to swirl the wine, it makes it a little bit more difficult to swirl it. But I think
But
that's a great.
You'd be
shape right
surprised,
there.
huh? I mean, Burgundy, I have tasted it. I went to this Riedel seminar, and I have to confess that there's a big difference between a Burgundy glass and a Bordeaux glass. And you put a Pinot Noir in a Bordeaux glass, it kills the smell and flavor of the wine.
Because it's so delicate.
yeah.
And, yeah.
And then you put it in this.
nice big bowl.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
unbelievable.
and this offers best of both worlds.
Well, hopefully.
So how do you want
Well,
to?
Brooks
We got to
is
get
here at
moving.
10,
Oh,
and
okay.
That's the wine part.
All right.
But, we're going to be in the.
When you-
Well,
be in
we don't.
trouble.
We don't. Honestly, we don't know yet.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're putting together a 10-part television series that's going to be following the American Fine Wine Competition as we meet, taste, tour, talk with all the different wineries, not just here in Napa. We're going to be in Lake County. We're going to be in Sonoma. And then at a later date, we'll be doing Washington and Oregon and possibly Ohio and New York and the other places where the wines come from. But what we're doing right now is we're gathering footage. And for various things. It's for American Fine Wine, but it's also Robert and Russell do wine festivals. And so they're also looking for footage for what they do. And so there's multi-purpose for
Great.
the filming that we're doing right now.
Are we your first one?
You are.
Good. Start at the castle. Like
You
that.
start at the castle.
Huh?
And you know, I don't know if you obviously you're familiar with the American Fine Wine Competition,
Yes, I am.
but your
We
wines
love
do
you guys.
quite
You-
well. We
we
love
did
you
all
guys.
well. Every year we
The Bien
Got some
Nacido
award.
Chardonnay
Yeah.
took best of class 2 years ago.
yeah. And Il Pasito managed
El
to be number
Pasito
one, the
managed
best white
took
wine.
best of class
Wow.
this year. Took best of show.
Yeah.
Took best of show white
Best
wine,
white wine.
which was unheard of
For a dessert wine.
for a dessert wine.
Yeah, I have
And-
to say.
That wine was delicious.
Huh?
It's
And you know,
drinking
it's
liquid
only
gold.
it's only
It's-
getting better actually. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
really you should taste it. You make sure that you taste it today because it's really good. People
Well,
love it.
We'll make sure we taste it
All
today.
right. You will not miss out on
We're
that.
going to finish up with a Sauterne
Huh?
style Il Pasito.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
$1 for the two of them. I said, what? Cutting the tail is 200. We only paid 150. Why don't we eat those two and we buy two new ones where the tail is already cut? What's wrong with that? What's
Yes,
wrong with that?
You can tell it. I love it.
Right.
I want you to tell the story.
And after that, I mean, the whole castle was against me because that was a very practical suggestion, right? I mean, it makes
You
sense.
weren't joking?
But no, I wasn't joking. You're
Oh,
$150.
shit. Now don't tell the story.
No, but that's what you do. The sheeps, you eat them. That's what you. When you go to
God's creature.
when you go to the Sunshine Market
So
and
are
you order
we.
some lamb, what do you think that is?
I don't order it, but yes, I understand
Exactly.
completely.
But it was, my God, we had a little riot going on, and everyone was running around and said, George wants to kill the sheep. And I was just making a practical suggestion. That's all it was.
Now
It's a good
star of
story.
the
I
show
like
is
it.
Jack.
Yeah, Jack.
Jack is our male sheep, and
Yeah.
there was a picture. Somebody's coming to Hot Event Nights on Friday night.
Yeah.
She did a photo shoot here, and she was leaning against the wood over there around their pen, and there's Jack sticking his face out into the camera, and he's on film. And it's really great.
Well, anyhow, at the end of the day, we had to pay. You know,
$200.
Yeah, to pay, and the tails are cut, and we still have them. The sheep are happy and eating like
Everybody
crazy. And
loves it.
Jack is
Everybody
already
loves
so
it.
fat. Yeah.
Fat Jack.
Huh? Yeah. He's really fat now.
Well, let's do this intro.
Visiting some beautiful and interesting wines.
Lean to your left, Sherry.
Hi, I'm Shari Gurman from the American Fine Wine Competition. Today, we're going to be visiting some very interesting and beautiful wineries here in the Napa Valley. Our first stop is at Castello di Amorosa, Our first stop today is at Castello di Amorosa. Castello di Amorosa is a 13th century Tuscan statue. Oh, come here, Lee, let me see that for a minute. I need to. Hi, I'm Shari Gurman from the American Fine Wine Competition. Today we're going to be visiting some very interesting and beautiful wineries here in the Napa Valley. Our first stop is at Castello di Amorosa. Castello di Amorosa was built, it took 14, okay. Dario Sattui's Castello di Amorosa was built, fuck me. Okay. Dario Sattui's authentically styled 13th century Tuscan castle took over 14 years to build and was open to the public in 2007. Hi, I'm Shari Gurman from the American Fine Wine Competition. Today we're going to be visiting some beautiful and interesting wineries. Our first stop is Castello di Amorosa. Castello di Amorosa is a 13th century Tuscan castle. Why am I having such a problem? Hi, I'm Shari Gurman from the American Fine Wine Competition. Today we're going to be touring some beautiful and very interesting wineries here in the Napa Valley. Our first stop is at Castello di Amorosa. Castello di Amorosa was built by Dario Sattui, who took 14 years to build it. It's located in beautiful Napa Valley, and they specialize in Italian varietals. They also They specialize in Italian varietals, but they produce beautiful wines from all around. Let's go in and meet the president. Insider.
3, 2, 1, live.
Hi, this is Shari Gurman from the American Fine Wine Competition. Today we're going to be touring some beautiful and very interesting wineries in the Napa Valley. Our first stop is here at Castello di Amorosa. Dario Sattui's Castello di Amorosa took 14 years to build and opened to the public in 2007. It's known to insiders, and now to you, as the castle. They specialize in Italian varietals, but they produce fabulous wines from all over. We're going to be tasting them shortly. Right now, let's go inside and meet the president.
You wait, by the interview number 20, you're going to be going, boppity beepity boppity.
I know, because this was the first one, so.
That's perfect.
Thank you. That was great. That was great. Enjoy your day,
Good
guys.
morning. Hi, George.
Morning, Sherry.
Hi, it's so nice to see you.
Welcome to Castello di Amorosa.
Thank you so much. George, tell us about this magnificent room, please.
So we're here in the great hall of Castello di Amorosa. This hall was actually painted by a very famous painter called Fabio Sansoni and his brother. He spent over 2 years to paint all those frescoes that you see here on the wall. Right behind me is a fresco that's called The Good Government. It was actually originally painted by Lorenzetti Ambrosio in 1337. It took him 2 years to paint it. And if you go to Palazzo Pubblico, you will actually find the original there. Down here on the right, you see an old fireplace that Dario actually found in Umbria. It is from 1447, the mantle. And he brought it over here and just built it right here in the center of the room. This is what the nobles entertained. Only if you were a nobleman, you were actually allowed to entertain in the Great Hall. And as always, the Great Hall is the most beautiful room of the castle. So now join me in looking at the other 106 rooms that we have left at the castle. Morning. Looking for the bathroom?
Yes.
Right over here, sir.
Just like in the.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, I know. Oh, you see, I just have to memorize this one. That would be fine. Oh, it says here, Ambrosia Lorenzetti. Because the van is in the rings.
Oh shit! I forgot to check in.
A man may drop off freely over the fireplace. The Barone holds the coat of arms above his written, "I'm the Lord of the Wines and wherever and whenever I'm good, I want the crown of power."
Tag each other and post it. I'm like, girl, we just started. Ease up.
Oh,
Ease up, PR.
I know. Oh my God, lighten up, man. Oh, here we go. Sherry Gurman.
Can you take a picture of this?
Yes.
Because I want to introduce that I'm the Lordess of the Vines.
We're now sitting in Castel in the. Okay.
And would you like me to look at the camera or look at who I'm talking to?
We're in the reserve tasting room at Castello di Amorosa. Sitting with me is Robert Stanfield, who's been joining us on this trip, Lee Blakely also, and we're really excited that we're sitting with Brooks Painter. Brooks is the director of winemaking here at Castello di Amorosa and at Visa Tui. Brooks, thank you for having us.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'd like to welcome you and your associates, American Fine Wine Competition. We've been very happy to participate, and
We've been happy to have you participate.
well, thank you. Good. Well, we're making some very interesting wines up here. I'd like to tell you a little bit about that today. We'll taste some of them, and of course, answer any questions you might have about some of our production techniques or our goals, personal goals for the wines.
I'm interested in that, yes. But also, we're definitely interested in the wines that we have here on the table. Tell us about them.
Well, Castello di Amorosa has a couple of estate vineyards here in Napa Valley, actually one up in Mendocino County where we get our Gewürztraminer and Pinot Grigio, but our focus is really in Napa Valley wines. So terroir, the soil, the climate is really key in what we're looking in terms of quality. We also do have some special vineyards that would go outside of the valley. For example, our Benedicto Chardonnay, which is from Santa Barbara County, a vineyard that has a stellar reputation. We sought them out in 2004, 2005, and been making the Chardonnay from there ever since. The two red wines we're going to be tasting today, La Castellana, which is a proprietary wine. It's a very interesting blend of Cabernet Sauvignon as the core, Merlot and Sangiovese. And the Merlot and Sangiovese will vary a little bit from year to year depending on their characteristics. What we're trying to achieve is a super Tuscan style.
And that's what I was going to ask you about. So this is very much in the style of a super Tuscan wine.
That's right. Yeah, Cabernet is the backbone, and then the Sangiovese, the Merlot, play the high notes with the harmony of the aroma as well as the texture of the wine.
And what else do we have on our table?
Well, our third wine is Il Baroni. Typically, it's 95+% Cabernet Sauvignon from both our estate vineyards and some grower vineyards. Selected sites around the Napa Valley, both hillside and valley floor. This is really the best of the best cuvées that we make. So we've already identified the vineyard blocks that probably have the best potential, and then we kind of carry those through, nurture them in the cellar, and then assemble the blend fairly early on, typically in the spring following harvest. We've identified those lots that are going to be most suitable for this blend.
How many lots do you choose from?
Well, we have quite a number of growers and a number of different blocks in our estate vineyard. So we may have as many as 40 different Cabernet lots that we're working with. Not only are there block designations, there might be sub-block designations. We often will separate free run from press, and so there's a lot of different seasonings and colors of the palette we can use here.
It's like being a chef.
It is, yes.
Okay, well, and then the last one that we have is...
That's a very special wine. I've been in the business for 30 years, 30 plus years, and I had always wanted to make a wine like this, and I figured I got this wonderful opportunity to come to the Castel di Amorosa. We had pretty much a blank slate to make whatever we wanted, and this is a late harvest Sauvignon Blanc Semillon. It's somewhat in the style of a Sauterne, a French Sauterne. So it's Botrytis, Cinerea, Noble Rot. We often don't pick these grapes until sometime in December. So
they're
well
like
after the
raisins
regular.
at that point, right?
They're dark brown little babies. Yeah, they are really amazing to see. As for example, last year we had a wonderful opportunity with Botrytis, and so we usually bring these grapes in anywhere from 38 to 42% sugar. So it's very succulent, unctuous style wine.
I know you should never start with the dessert first, although life is short.
Well, you can certainly smell the aromatics that you get from the Botrytis.
Magnificent.
So Chardonnay being a dry wine, that's the one that we would often start with the tasting with. This is 100% barrel fermented, so truly a Burgundian style wine. We do some native or uninoculated fermentations, use some special strains that we prefer, and it's 100% French oak, 100% barrel fermented, typically about 50% new every year. And we practice sur lie, stirring, trying to really add a lot of complexity and richness from the contact with the primary yeast at the bottom of the barrel.
Let's try it.
Pianecido, being down on the Central Coast, has a very typical regional character, which tends to be very fruit forward, almost a little tropical. So mango, a little papaya. Yeah, it's a kind of an interesting and a different profile than what we get up here in Napa Valley. So it's nice to have a little bit of a foil to our Napa Valley Chardonnay, because they're quite different.
How many different wines do you make?
At the castle, we're running in the high 20s now, 25. I think.
Wow. Oh, that's nice. That's a little something for everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
we have a direct-to-consumer business model, so it allows us a little more flexibility in the variety of wines that we make, the type of wines that we make.
Because people come here to the castle and they can taste and they can purchase and.
That's right. Yeah, these wines, you cannot find them in distribution, retail, or restaurants. The only way to get them are to buy them
Directly through the wine, and we can do that.
That's right.
That's nice. It's unique. It's nice to be able to fill up a cellar with wines that you don't see in the grocery store or in the wine shop.
Well, we hope that we're making something a little special, a little more special or unique. When people come to visit, of course, the hospitality and the aura of the site itself is pretty amazing. But going to a medieval castle, so we want to make wines that are going to measure up to that type of experience.
So you've actually been here since 2005, but the castle didn't open until 2007.
That's correct. The first couple of years we were still under construction, which always led to a couple of funny occasions. For example, when the owner would decide that everyone was out of the cellar and turn the lights off, and then you found yourself deep in the catacombs.
You would be in the cellar and he shut the lights off?
Fortunately, I usually carried a flashlight, or I made a point of carrying a flashlight. But we were under construction. We had dirt roads. We had the last summer we were working here. There was 50 stonemasons. So in terms of winemaking, we had to kind of weave our way through all of the contractors and the people still completing the physical site in order to make the wine. And winemaking is challenging enough. This just added another layer of complexity to it. So
Wow.
everything worked out fine.
Well, it certainly did. We've been enjoying this tour. It's a fabulous property.
Great, thank you.
What else do we have here?
So moving on to the second wine, La Castellana, which roughly means a lady of the castle. And the concept with this wine was to make a wine that someone might find in Tuscany, northern Italy. And it incorporates Bordeaux varieties, which historically were not grown in the region. Of course, Chianti Classico, Sangiovese was the primary red grape for hundreds of years, thousands of years really. And in the 1950s and early 60s, there were some Bordeaux varieties that were introduced, and the term Super Tuscan came to mean that type of a blend. It can have all Cabernet Merlot, Cab Franc with no Sangiovese or occasionally with Sangiovese. So we chose to incorporate Sangiovese because Sangiovese really gives you the aromatic characteristics of northern Italy that I was looking for. So generally it's about 70 to 75% Cabernet Sauvignon and up to 15% each of Merlot and Sangiovese. The Lady of the Castle, in our view of this wine, is supposed to be a little bit more fragrant, a little more softer on the palate.
But it still has some tannins in it. This has some time in the bottle.
Yes, yes.
How long do you think this would lay down for?
Oh gosh, you know, I'm hoping 15 plus years, and I'm hoping I drink it in 15 years. It does tend to hold up quite well. One of our agreements here in terms of promoting our wines and sharing them with the consumer, typically we want a minimum of 2 years of bottle age on all the red wines, and it's more often to see 3 to 4 years.
Is that before you release them?
Before we release them. So if you come and visit the castle, or a friend brings a bottle and you get a chance to taste it, it's already going to have 3 to 4 years of bottle age in it.
I think it's absolutely lovely. It's a stunning wine. And we're not done yet.
Yeah, it is a nice counterpoint to the El Baroni, the next wine, which is truly a big Napa Valley Cabernet. We're shooting for a lot of power here, but also somewhat restrained tannins. I'm a proponent that the wine should be very pleasant on the palate, and not that sometimes the tannins can be a little overbearing. So we practice techniques in the winery and our use of oak, etc., to really try to make supple wines that have a lot of flesh and volume, as opposed to being a little tough. I think I said earlier, it's typically 95% plus Cab, generally a little bit of Merlot or possibly some Petit Verdot. So if we're ready to move on to
Let's move on.
Pièce de Resistance here. As I said, this was a real passion of mine for years, and I didn't have the opportunity prior to coming to Castel di Amorosa to make a wine like this. So I sought out, we don't grow these two varieties in our estate vineyard, so I sought out some growers who were willing to humor me and let the grapes hang on the vine and develop botrytis cinerea. And in general, you might lose up to 50% of the weight of the grapes during that process. So obviously, the grower is interested in being compensated for that lost weight. So we pay a little premium, quite a large premium actually, for the risk that they're taking. And they work very carefully with them. A lot of it has to do with the canopy management. And normally, we're trying to prevent botrytis in the grapes. This is the opposite. We're actually trying to manage the vines and farm in order to encourage it. And so you have to be very, very patient. As I said, this will often be picked in late November, December, even close to Christmas some years.
It's amazing.
It's 100% barrel fermented.
And it's kind of scary too. I'm just thinking about it because you're thinking, one, you're purchasing the grapes. Two, you're hoping that you're going to get what you're looking for.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
So you're always wondering, today, tomorrow, next week, you know, you get a little nervous because this picking decision is very important. And this is 100% barrel fermented, or aged on the lees, on the yeast lees, for almost 2 years, 20 to 22 months. on the original East Lees, no racking or very little racking. So this is a wine that could go 30, 40, 50 years perhaps.
Like a Sauterne?
Yes.
It's just velvet. That is just liquid gold. It's beautiful.
Yeah, nice way to
Very Sauterne.
start or finish a meal.
Right.
Either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. This is, I find this stunning, right? It's not often actually. I mean, there are several people make late harvest wines, but very few make them as well as this.
Well, thank you very much.
This is beautiful.
This has been really a treasure of mine, and I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Very much so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really nice.
You did okay?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, this one. That was.
3, 2, 1.
Live.
Hi, I'm Jim Sullivan at Castello di Amorosa, and welcome to our display of the American viticultural areas, or the AVAs, of the Napa Valley. Castello di Amorosa is located in the Diamond Mountain District, known for its loose loam soils and its bold tannic reds and big powerful reds. We have 16 growing areas in the Napa Valley. They're called American viticultural areas. Here we have the St. Lena AVA down on the valley floor, the Childs Valley District over in the over across the way, over across the back of mountain range. As a matter of fact, cut.
A little tiny bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm totally too bad. Hi, Jim Sullivan, Vice President of Marketing at Castello di Amorosa Winery. Welcome to our display of the AVAs in the Napa Valley. AVA is an American viticultural area. It's one of the federally designated growing areas. And it's the AVAs and the growing areas are what makes Napa Valley wine so great. Here we are. Our vineyards are in the Diamond Mountain District. Hi, Jim Sullivan, Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations at Castello di Amorosa. Welcome to our display of the AVAs of the Napa Valley. An AVA is an American viticultural area, or a federally designated growing area. And here we have a display of the different AVAs. Our vineyards and our property, Castello di Amorosa, the castle that we're visiting today, is in the Diamond Mountain District, one of the growing areas of Napa Valley. We also have the St. Lena AVA, Childs Valley AVA, Mount Veeder, so we get some great mountain fruit from the Mount Veeder AVA. We also have Yountville, center of the valley down south. You might have heard of the Yountville area, and some great wines come out of that. Atlas Peak is a higher elevation AVA down south of us here, and also the Wild Horse Valley AVA. Can you imagine the wines that come out of the Wild Horse Valley AVA? So just a beautiful growing area. The 16 different growing areas in Napa Valley is what makes our wines unique. And again, welcome to Castello di Amorosa. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're heading downstairs, down below the lower levels of the castle. There's 4 levels below the castle, actually 81,000 square feet. All the brick you see is all imported from Europe. Most of it comes from the Habsburg dynasty in Austria, and it's a couple hundred years old. On the left, as we head down to the Grand Barrel room, we're going to pass by our wine caves. 900 linear feet of wine caves and storage on the left. Turn around and go this way. cool walking structure to the right.
Right.
And then turn to the left.
Those sounds just.
Yeah, just kind of
Zip,
a
zip,
whip, whip,
zip,
whip.
zip, 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 till we get to the, we're gonna be the power bit.
And to the left here. To the left.
What's our elevation?
400 feet below sea level to the right.
What's that have?
To the right. Or the left and the right. So these are our library rooms, and our libraries, we've only been open since 2007, so we don't have a huge library yet. But you can imagine this room here would be dedicated to a certain vintage, and so on and so forth. We have about 14 different library rooms here.
So Russell, I'm picturing that walk that we just did is going like in rapid speed. Boom, wind up in the, well, you don't have to go, but wind up in the barrel tasting room. That's what I'm picturing.
How about you go, hi, I'm Sherry, I'm back, let's go to the torture chamber. How about that?
Okay, I like that. Are we gonna go to the torture chamber?
Yeah, that's next.
Okay. Let's go to the torture chamber. They're never gonna find us. Oh my. Serious stuff. Look at this. So back in the day when they do that, come here, wrist you up, roll you up, but I can't drink. Give me a bottle. I could do anything as long as I had a glass of wine. Seriously, where are they?
Don't worry about it. We got Peter waiting.
Okay, Peter's waiting for us. He's doing a barrel tasting. We gotta go.
Oh, I love it.
Wow! What's that?
Yes, I
Hi, Peter.
Oh, so
What?
this is great. This is an opportunity to, one of the things I like about this time of year is we get new barrels in.
I see these with brand new barrels, and that's how you know the
This is a barrel, this is a French oak barrel. It's never had any wine in it. And what I like to do is yes, have people smell inside. It smells like creamy caramel, toasted oak.
Put Jimmy Durante in there and he would never come out.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Brand new friendship.
All right, well, we lost.
So you would probably introduce Peter Bellino, associate winemaker here at Castello di Amoroso, and Peter Bellino, and Peter's going to lead us through a barrel tasting of whatever.
2011 Il Baroni
Il Baroni,
or 2011 Il Pasito.
Oh, yes.
which El Pasito.
Hell yeah.
And it's the award-winning wine from last year,
It's
and
the
we're fully
best
expecting this to be the winner again this year. No,
I'll let you put some words in my
that,
mouth,
but,
but yeah, don't give
no,
yourself
it's
up. In my life, we
we have
say
a
don't-
2011.
2011 El Pasito, but
Okay,
we'll
great.
actually do the 2010 El Pasito,
Okay,
which is going to be bottled in about a month.
okay. They're lost. We can't.
We can't find them.
No,
They're gone
we gotta
forever.
I want to keep on.
Yeah, we
schedule,
gotta be on
so-
schedule. We gotta go somewhere. All right.
Second harvest using these, and we use them for some white wines that we want to have some aging on the lees and get some barrel aging type character without the oak toasty flavors in the wine.
So who would go in there?
Pinot Bianco and Gewürztraminer is what we did this past year, and we haven't committed to this next year what we're going to do, but we ended up doing a single vineyard Pinot Grigio and a single vineyard Gewürztraminer, and on top of doing single vineyard, it was also concrete egg fermented 100% and aged for a few months and bottled a couple months after the normal bottling of those wines, which were blended with a couple different vineyards. We aged it for a long time in the eggs, and you get lees contact, and you get a different type of minerality and viscosity from the aging on the lees that you don't get by aging in the steel. But you don't get any of that, the wood flavors that you don't really want in Gewürztraminer.
Right, you wouldn't want that in Gewürztraminer. Now, I know you make a late harvest Gewürztraminer. Do you do a regular Gewürz as well, a dry
We
Gewürztraminer?
do late harvest Gewürztraminer, we do Dolcino Gewürztraminer, which is
Also those are-
somewhat sweet, and then a dry, and then starting this year, or in 2011, we did a single vineyard, Farrington Vineyard Gewürztraminer in the concrete egg. So we did 4 Gewürztraminers in
Wow.
2011.
And what are you producing on each one of those? About
How much?
proud.
They're each around 1,000 cases, give or take, except for this one was only 170 cases. They're a small little tank.
Yeah. But big for an egg.
Yeah. You can fit 8 barrels worth of wine or something like that in there.
8 barrels is what? 25 barrels? 25
What was total fermentation time?
4 months. 5
4
months. Yeah, we did a little bit shorter on the Pinot Bianco.
On
and
the
an extra
lees,
month on
4 months on the lees.
4 months on the lees. Yeah, it was never racked, and the shape of the egg tank actually lends itself to a natural current in the wine. So it's almost like it stirs itself as the wine cools and goes down. The lees gets kind of kicked up naturally. It's a pretty interesting process.
Natural suspension of the natural
Yeah, it has-
batonnage.
It has everything to do with the shape of that egg. If it was a circular tank or a square, that doesn't happen. Well, let's scope out where we're going to go here. Easy to get to.
We're in the Grand Barrel Room at Castello di Amorosa, and we're here with Peter Bellino, the assistant winemaker, and we're going to do a little barrel tasting.
I'm a videographer, I'm not a sommelier, I'm not a winemaker. Hold on.
We're in the Grand Barrel Room here at Castello di Amorosa, and we're going to do a little barrel tasting with the associate winemaker, Peter Bellino. Let's go. Hi, Peter.
Shall we do this barrel right here? This is our 2011 Il Baroni, which is Castello di Amorosa's best Cabernet. And this wine has been in the barrel for just a few months now, and it'll be bottled about a year from today for a grand total of 20 months in the barrel. And each of these barrels is from a different cooper, and all these barrels are coming from France. And each cooper is the name of the cooper is what you call the manufacturer of the barrel. They each have their own little twists and nuances, and they do different degrees of toasting, different techniques on how they bend the wood. And we purchase barrels from a wide variety, probably 30 different producers. And for this wine, for Il Baroni, it's a very high percentage of new oak. It varies year to year, sometimes as much as 90% new oak or even more, sometimes less, depending on what we think the wine needs. And we're gonna go ahead and taste this wine. It is 95% Cabernet Sauvignon and 5% Merlot. It's the blend varies year to year. Sometimes we use a little Petit Verdot in the wine, sometimes no Merlot, sometimes 100% Cabernet. It really depends on what we're getting. But we had some really special Merlot that lends a different type of character to this wine, gives it a little juicy, fleshy texture, and it's quite nice. So of course this wine is quite young, and it can be very intense, and you'll notice right away that the wine has an intense inky color. That is because we're putting our very best Cabernet Sauvignon into this blend right here. So you get a hint of the wood. The oak character in the wine is prevalent right away after just a few weeks in the barrel, and it would actually reaches its peak, I would say, right about now, and it will become more subtle as it ages. And sometimes you'll smell a wine that's fresh in the barrel and think that it's going to be overly oaked or overpowering, but the wine just needs time to kind of marry the flavors, and it'll become more subtle and integrated by the time we're ready to rack it out and bottle it.
I'll have bites at the top of my teeth.
Yeah. It's rich, powerful.
It is. It's a big,
intense.
big wine.
It maybe could be a little bit sharp right now as far as the tannins, but that will mellow out as the wine ages. It'll continue to extract a small amount of flavor from the barrels, but at this point, almost all the oak aroma is going to be in the wine, and from this point on, it's going to be the wine kind of coming together. We may do a small amount of blending, but I would say this is 95% of the finished product right here. For this style of wine, we do really early blending because we want the different varieties and different oak components to come together and have a chance to kind of come in harmony as it ages, rather than blending at the last minute.
Wonderful. Look forward to this being in the bottle.
Yeah. It'll be bottled a year from next month, and then we'll keep it in the bottle for a couple years before we release it. So 2011 Cabernet Sauvignon here, the Il Baroni, but it won't be available for purchase for 4 years.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
One bottle of wine for you. And then you got
You're not going to be okay,
Sangiovese, you have Barbera. Do you ever drink a Merlot? No drinker at all? You want to go straight to Cabernet?
Yeah, not a huge fan.
You Cabernet drinkers? There you go. I'll pour you both a nice splash of this.
Oh, yeah.
07 Cabernet. The only grape that you're going to see with bigger style Napa Valley cabs is Petit Verdot with it. Petit Verdot. It's just a blending grape from Bordeaux. It's just usually it is Napa's grape.
Ton of
Like if you like cab, you will not find better cab.
You want to be a little more generic, though. Don't let everything go. A lot of distilled down also.
Hospitality is one. It's another world. Another world will lead you to another adventure. Yes, and it's the absolute ideal.
Hey, big guy. Watching me walk. He's like, "Are you gonna feed me or what? Are you gonna stare at me or?" We could scare the peacock and get him to spread.
He likes my car.
He does.
I have a black car. He sees himself in the mirror. He's gonna shake it back. He's got pants on.
That was about 1994, so from 84 to 94. And then what happened from there is they launched a wine label, Magical, which you have in your glass now. So that was 1995. So this building was actually built in 2007, and we opened our doors, and you know what the economy did. So we're actually, been very smart about how we, climbed out of that. And that's by making great wine. By making great wine, it takes people that know this business, and Jess has been farming for years. And so his family, well, they're originally from Spain, and they found their way to Mexico and came here as migrant workers. He is a sibling of 12, and they worked the land here in Napa. They were one of the first Latino families in the valley, and they worked the land, anywhere from picking apples to grapes, prunes, whatever they could get their hands on. They even traveled all through Sonoma County. 12 siblings, it can be kind of rough. So he joined the Navy, and he was a career Navy man for 20 years. And upon his retirement, he yearned to get back to what he knew from his childhood. They moved here in 1937. So he went back into the vineyard and fell in love with that whole connection, and wanted to start his own vineyard management company. So his story is really funny because they say, they're just going to start this company, in which they did. And so they pitched Clos Pagasse, which we still take care of their vineyards to this day. And they're like, well, we can do this and do this. Well, they got the contract, and they're like, oh crap, we don't have any equipment. What are we going to do? So they, borrowed everything and made it happen. And they were able to fund, buying their own equipment. We actually planted all the vineyards for Goldeneye. And that's where our winemaker too, Bruce Regalia, came from. And him and Chris Magical work very closely on making our wines here. So we have quite a variety. We've won some accolades and some awards. We had a Tempranillo that was off the cuff great. We sold out. It was a 2009. It got 91 points in the Wine Spectator. And obviously we've won some beautiful awards in your competition as well. So there you go. So nice and accessible, short commute to work. He just walks over here every morning.
Nothing's more perfect. I was going to say, that's a beautiful place to live.
They are raising their 3 children as well. So the boys are 13 and 14. They're out helping Grandpa in the morning in the vineyards. And then Lauren obviously is 17 and being a girl. And they will decide whether they want to be in this business or not. They're giving them lots of options, but they're very busy with raising kids and actually a winery. So you'll walk over here. We'll notice that we've dropped some fruit already. And this is the Las Viñas del Señor vineyard that we're going to walk out to. And we'll walk around to the backside as well. We're going to drop 70% of the fruit. 70%. So we already came in, we dropped some fruit because they threw a squash over the fence. But this is going to create more extracted, fruit that hangs on the vines. So we want to absolutely, pay attention to that. So last week they came in, they dropped it. That becomes nutrients for the terroir, and it helps feed animals so that they don't actually nibble on the vines. So it works out really well. This is a very specialized vineyard. Jess planted this for his hobby vineyard that became something more. I know that Heidi Barrett used to buy fruit from this vineyard until we said no more because we wanted it for ourselves. And so you'll be going to Fantasca, some of those wines at Fantasca Heidi Barrett makes. So our Cabernet is $80 for our Las Viñas. So we're going to tour towards the back, and we're going to look at the vines up close and personal. I hope you can go in your heels, but we'll find that out.
I'll go as far as I can.
Okay. Come on through. So we have a lot of lavender on property and olive trees, and every year we do something specialized. And we're going to make an olive oil and lavender soap this year. And the kids are going to help actually make some of that. We do harvest our olives as well and have our own olive oil. Like most places will have something of that nature in their vineyards where they make olive oil. So we're going to go to our beautiful manicured Las Viñas del Señor. God vines. Lots of dog vines. Okay. Might see a few lizards out here. Oh, you okay?
Yep.
Okay.
But I had that under control too.
There's nothing like being in the vineyard, and you know what? Everything starts in the vineyard. If you don't have quality fruit that you're maintaining, you're not going to have a very nice quality end product that is in your hands, that you're drinking. So we have a lot of great fruit because we manage vineyards, so we're getting the fruit from those vineyards, and we also have 40 acres of our own. Well, 40 acres here, 32 is planted. These vines are 18 years old, and they are planted in the French style, so you're going to see that they're lower to the ground. I'm telling you, if you ever try to plant this vineyard, you're going to be hurting. Your quads are going to be killing you. You're going to be coming through here with a sharp knife and letting it drop and running it down the rows and putting it in the 1-ton bins. You can see that all leaves are different, and if you're actually going to go to school to become a sommelier or even a winemaker, one of the things they do is they throw leaves on a table, and you have to guess what goes to what, grape. This is how you tell the varietal, is by the leaf. A lot of people don't realize that. They think that, you're looking at the grape, but it's here. So this is going to be a very different looking leaf than the Merlot, and the Merlot vineyard's there. So Merlot's a little bit more round and more like 3 indents, where this has like 5. We're just starting to get into a little bit of veraison in here, but we're still going to drop a lot of fruit. And you'll notice that there's markers in the vineyard here with the posts that are wooden posts, and that happens to be where the best fruit in the vineyard is. We know that because we're doing a variety of things. We're looking at the fruit, we're tasting the fruit, we're doing soil tests, and we're looking for the refractor harvest. So once veraison happens, we know that we're about 6 to 8 weeks out as far as picking, and harvest can be anywhere between middle of August through the end of October or into the mid of November. Last year was all messed up. We were still picking fruit in December because we had a very strange summer last year where it didn't warm up very much. But we had great fruit. And I'm telling you, I just tasted what we're going to put to bottle pretty soon, and it was awesome. So this vineyard is manicured to almost the excess, and this is our Las Viñas del Señor Cab, and our Sonnet 63 is where we use this fruit. You can tell it's not a very big vineyard. We only make 65 cases of our reserve Cabernet. So in the vineyard, quality care to the end product, which is in your glass, which is a great glass of wine. So
funniest tasting cab.
I know. I usually have the cab, but it's like, oh, we got to rush the tour. You usually pour that cab in your glass before you come out here. This is the valley floor as well, so we have a lot of that 5 noble fruits growing in our vineyard. But we do have Grenache, and we have Tempranillo as well. So, what's really nice too about the lavender is that it helps pollinate the vines, because we have a lot of bee activity, so you're going to see that. Another thing too you might see in vineyards where you have a lot of roses planted, and the theory is that, if there's something infecting your vineyard, it's going to go to the roses first. Guess what? It's already in your vineyard if it's on the roses. So we do quality control before that fact. I know, it smells good, doesn't it?
Heavenly.
Yeah. So this is, literally, Heidi Barrett would buy her fruit here. She was so upset when she couldn't buy her fruit anymore because we're using it all. So,
That's funny.
Isn't that funny?
That is
yeah,
funny.
that's great.
I just called them and let them know that
Yeah.
we would be there around
Yeah.
12:30 or 12:40.
Okay, we're gonna walk down carefully. We're going on a hike through the vineyard here.
Carefully.
And I'm trying to think of the best way. Buy another tank. For red fruit, we're going to hand sort everything. So we have the hand sorting platform up there. We think that hand sorted fruit makes for better wines. I had interns last year that were hand sorting from Chile and France, and they were so cute, these girls, and they're up there and they're just doing their thing. And they're also, blah, they're screaming cussing in every single language under the sun. Flew off the platform, and I go, what's wrong? And I was giving a tour like I am now, and I look in there and there's a lizard. So that's why we hand sort. There's a lot of reasons. And you're out in the field, you're gathering fruit, you're bringing it in. There is lizards.
Yeah, it's gonna get bugs.
And bugs.
We just got some organic grapes, and we had 2 spiders walking along the kitchen table. We're like,
oh. So there you go. So anyway, they claim they'd never seen a lizard, but it was really fun to watch and see them cussing. And so we do hand sort. And once the hand sorting happens, it's going to go through the crusher and destemmer. and then it's going to be hosed into the big fermentation tanks. So this is a time that is so busy. They're working 16-hour days, 7 days a week for 3 months. It's intense. And this is when, you wish you invented the Crest white strips, because, the winemakers
they're
all
all
have purple
black,
teeth,
purple, right.
because they're tasting from the fermentation tanks. So some fermentation takes anywhere from 7, 10, 14, 21 days. What do you think you have to add to convert the sugars to alcohol?
I hope nothing.
Water. Water? Yeast.
Yeast.
You have to add yeast, and just like we have designer handbags or designer shoes, there's different kinds of yeast. There's actually better yeast than other yeast. So, depending on what the focus is from the winemaker and what he wants to display in that wine, we're going to put that yeast in. So, just like we wash our clothes in a washing machine and we're agitating them, getting them all clean, we're going to put everything in these tanks, and we have to do daily pump overs. So it's going to be moving around. So if you threw all that in there, it'd become like kind of big, gooey mess. So you're doing daily pump overs. And we actually have hand punch downs as well. So if you ever want to get in shape, that's a way to do it. And you have to do it literally twice a day for about 20 minutes each, and you are hand punching down. And we actually think hand punch downs make for better wine as well. So they're more handcrafted, if you will. So after fermentation happens and everything settles to the bottom of that tank, it's called musk, and it needs to be cleaned out. So it's a dangerous and dirty job, just like it was featured on Mike Rowe's show, Dirty Jobs. You get in that tank, first you dig it out, you're harnessed, it's OSHA standards that you have a spotter at all times, and you're digging all that out, and you get in the tank and you dig it all out, and then clean that tank. That is actually made into compost and put back into the vineyards. So we try to be very green as possible. So you can see the rotation is huge. Weighing the fruit, getting it in, hand sorting, getting, white fruit usually it goes to press and then straight to barrel fermentation. It's just constant cleaning and rotating. And once this goes into barrel, we're going to then take it to the barrel room, but it doesn't stay in one barrel for the length of time that some people think. It's rotated around to different barrels. But you'll see like 25% new oak, and then you see like neutral oak. It's because there is new oak barrels, but we're putting a percentage of that in that oak, but we're also doing some neutral oak, and then we blend it all together. So Picture Out Moment is right here on our corner. You are divided by, two mountainous areas. It's really fun to hike all these mountains. I've been on the top of a lot of them.
Wow.
Talk about rewarding. So it's about 30 miles long, no more than 5 miles across. So we have some of the best wines in the world, and we only account for, what is it, 3%?
I think it's 2%.
Is it 2% now?
About 2%, yeah.
Wow, isn't
And
that
in all
amazing?
of California, Napa Valley produces how much? In Napa Valley, what do you think? How much wine comes out of Napa Valley from all of California?
Yeah.
What percentage? Wild guess.
Percentage worldwide?
No, in the United States.
California.
Oh, United States.
How much wine comes out of Napa Valley? And all the wines in the country, how much? In all of California, how much wine comes out of Napa?
I would have
65?
65. You think? 4%.
4%.
That's it. I know, mind-boggling, but that's because everybody knows it, because they make world-class wines here, so everybody knows Napa Valley.
Well, and whoever was on that wagon to get it off the ground were ingenious, because it's been marketed really well. Because, I like to say, I've worked on both sides of the mountain. There's great fruit on both sides of the mountain. The early settlers went to Sonoma County, where the Indians were pushed into Napa. But this is a great growing region all over for, great wines. Sonoma County has a little bit more of a, they can grow more in the cowboy feel, but it also can, you have a lot of great Pinots and Chardonnays because of Russian River Valley. You have Dry Creek for Zin, so there's a lot of diversity over there. But you have it here too, but it's just so small. It's just like amazing, when you start looking and breaking down those percentages. So world-class wine, and we're drinking it here at Madrigal. So you'll notice our pond and our property actually ends right there where the trees are and goes all the way back to the Napa River, and that's where that Sauvignon Blanc is coming from. It grows kind of in a very cooler area, like almost like a microclimate area. This is our Merlot. We have Tempranillo, Grenache, we have Cabernet Franc. We have so many things growing on our acreage here. We're spring fed for our pond, and so it makes for very clean water. So you'll see the kids out there in the summer having a blast. Big pool, right?
That's a
You don't need, it's a big pool. You'll see Jess Madrigal's home right here. It's with the right roof, and Everyone goes, oh, it looks so tiny. It's actually bigger when you get up close. We're looking at it from far away. Our business offices are here on site as well because of our vineyard management. We also have an overflow water tank here. We do drip line for our vines. And we butt up to Larkmead's vineyards. So that's where our property ends and begins. Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
It's wonderful. This is such a great spontaneous stuff.
Yeah. We're going to go in and circle around here and see some of the equipment, hand sorting, the bung holes. Yeah. So this is the 1-ton bins that we're going to haul that fruit in. Oh, these are colorful. I never seen these. These are great. Maybe like, ooh, pretty. So these are the bung holes. This is what we put in the barrels. What is that? To plug them up. The bung hole for the bungs or the bung holes for the barrels. You'll see it when we go in there. And some of our hand sorting, we have blending tanks. We got all kinds of. Here, this is what happens to old barrels right here. They become planters or trash cans, or furniture, or whatever else.
They can build a stage.
Yeah, yeah. They can. And yeah, we could become gladiators. We go out and wear football.
I saw
equipment.
that.
That's the boys, yeah. There's something really lovely about having the family here, you know, and kind of have that hum of kids under your feet. I love it.
You have a family here?
I do. My boys are 22 and 18. So, and I have a really cute boyfriend. So,
Good.
I'm going to give you guys the Pinot Noir, and then this is coming from Anderson Valley. Okay. Only whites? Do you want to try the Gewurz?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to try the Pinot or Gewürztraminer
Or what?
I have a Gewürztraminer, the 2011.
What did we just have in our glass?
That was Sauvignon Blanc.
That was Sauvignon Blanc in my glass?
Yes.
That was a pretty round Sauvignon Blanc.
I love it. It has more of the kind of little bit grass, but yet that grapefruit melon.
It was very I got the melon a
Creamy.
lot.
Well, I like it toasty and creamy. Absolutely. Would you like the?
Sure.
Okay. And then we're going to go into the barrel room, and I'm going to give you Gewurz. Why not have everybody have a variety of wine here, right? All right, that's going to be a little bit, it's going to be dry, 0 sugar residual on that one. 2011 coming from Ukiah. And I'm going to jump to some of our reserves. I'm going to go ahead and give you our Sonnet 63. This is a very, I call it sexy wine. And this is going to be a blend of Cab and Merlot and Cabernet Franc.
A very spontaneous stop today at Fantasca, which is the wines made by the renowned winemaker and beloved Heidi Barrett. So luckily Stacy has said, yes, come on by. So we've stopped in here, we're going to do a quick tasting, and then from here we're going to go on to our next appointment. Thanks for coming.
Start. Tell her, talk to me.
So this is really exciting. We've had this spontaneous opportunity to taste some wines produced by or made by Heidi Barrett. Susan and Dwayne Hoff started this winery called Fantasca back in 2004. And obviously they're smart people because in 2008 they had Heidi Barrett producing at least four of their wines. The first one that we tasted today is a Chardonnay. It's the only Chardonnay that Heidi Barrett makes. It is done in the style of Burgundy, and it is absolutely a stunning wine. It's a real treat. The next one that we tried was the Rosé, and I feel like I'm in Provence. It's a Rosé of Cabernet. The skin sat on the juice for about 4 hours only, and pulled it out, and you get this beautiful rich color. And the wine is just it's like a summer day. It's gorgeous. The third one that we tried is the Pinot Noir. Now Heidi doesn't make Pinot Noir. However, this is still a blockbuster Pinot Noir, I think. It's lovely, it's stunning, and it was a treat to try. This is a Cabernet made by Heidi, but we think it's a Cabernet. This is started out as a blank palette. Heidi was able to pick whatever grape she wanted. She sourced what she wanted, and she produced this magnificent, I believe, a Cabernet blend that I think is perfect now and could probably drink for the next 5 or 10 years. rich, it's elegant, and it's like a holiday. It tastes like Christmas, it tastes like Thanksgiving, it's got cloves and cinnamon, and it's just beautiful. Lastly, we were able to try the estate Cabernet. On the property, there are 9 acres of Cabernet and 1 acre of Petit Verdot, and those grapes are used to produce this Cabernet. Rich, elegant, stunning wine. I could drink this all day. Cheers.
Love the wine box. Wish I had an opportunity to love this.
Oh,
This is like fun.
Stop! What a little hot couple this is.
They're really cute. They're in Bali right now. They're celebrating their 24th wedding anniversary. College sweethearts.
So she's 40? 44.
Dwayne's gonna be turning 50 in September.
Yeah.
So he's a few years
September.
younger than her.
So I know they didn't make their money here. What did he used to do?
They both worked for Best Buy for a long time. Susan Hoff started when they only had 4 stores.
Huh.
I don't know. I don't really worry about eating, I worry about drinking.
Where are you visiting from?
Florida.
Did I give you a card? I know.
All right. Rusty, darling, I gotta go now. We won't be late. Let's go. Thank you so much for accommodating us and so being so.
This is what is really our namesake. So this whole mountain range on the east side of the valley are the Vaca Mountains. And this is a pretty signature feature of not only the Vaca Mountains, but really Napa Valley, and it's called the Stag's Leap Promontory. And the legend goes, the Wapo Indians lived in this area, and the legend of Stag's Leap Promontory is that they were chasing a big stag up the hillside, and they being the Wapo Indian.
Yes.
In the Napa Valley. No problem.
First Cabernet planting in the Stag
Right.
District.
That's right.
In front of you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The
So
first
this is
Cabernet planting in Napa Valley.
no in the Stags in what is now the Stag's Leap District. So the story. So what you're looking at is what we call the Fay Vineyard, and that was planted in 1961 by a pioneer grower named Nathan Fay, who, despite the fact that everyone in the valley said he was crazy for planting Cabernet so far, what was considered so far south in the valley because it was thought to be too cold to ripen Cabernet, he proved all the critics wrong, and obviously leaped, 40, 50 years ahead, and it's some of the most prized land in all of Napa Valley. And so the Stag's Leap wine cellar, so this was kind of the inspiration vineyard for Stag's Leap wine cellars when our founder tasted Nathan Fay's homemade 1968 vintage Cabernet. And because Nathan was really primarily a grower, so and some of the folks here in the valley who were a major buyer of those grapes back in the day, up until really Stag's Leap Wine Cellars bought the vineyard, was Heights. Heights was really known to source a lot of fruit from Nathan Fay. So he was mostly a grower, but made some of homemade wine for his, family partaking. But the wine was just that incredible balance of fruit and texture and all the things that our founder was really looking for when he was trying to decide, where to put a stake in the ground. So it just so happened, and you can't really see it, it's beyond this tree line, but that's the SLV vineyard right beyond. And so that was planted. There was a little Alicante Boucher, but mostly, prune, plum, orchard, walnuts, things like that. Bought that vineyard, named it Stag's Leap Vineyard, and started planting. So that was in 1970. And then, of course, what kind of launched this little unknown family enterprise into international fame was the 1976 Paris tasting. And the wine that won this Paris tasting was from the 73 vintage. So it was really the first commercial vintage off of that vineyard. It was 3-year-old vines. So, you know, even more insult upon injury to the French. I'm sorry to say.
That was the goal.
Yeah, not that that was the goal. As a matter of fact, Bordeaux was really the inspiration behind the style. So very, you know, the founder's been very complimentary of Bordeaux and Bordeaux producers. So coming back to the Fay Vineyard, in 1986, when Nathan decided to retire, he offered the vineyard first to Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, and so we purchased it and named it Fay in his honor. And so what we have here is side by side are two of the most historic vineyards in Napa Valley. Fay, for being the first Cabernet planted in the Stag's Leap district, which is now world recognized for Cabernet, and of course SLV for producing the wine that won the Paris tasting and put Napa Valley, California winemaking on the map. And thank you to the Stag's Leap Promontory for providing kind of the namesake for the place. But so to finish that story, the Wapo Indians ran up the hillside, trapped the stag, so they thought. And you see where the V in the rock outcropping is? Well, they thought they had, you know, their prey, but the legend goes that he leapt to the other side and escaped and survived. So that's the legend of the Stag's Leap Promontory.
Obviously, Indians drank back then.
I think they smoked more than they drank. Let's see what else I can tell you.
And this is a story that Steve was talking about a little bit. The big question is, so Stag Leap's Vineyard, but that's the name of a winery.
Oh, Lord help us.
Well,
and I know.
Stag's Leap. Well, there's Stag's Leap Vineyard,
right?
And then it was really 2 years later. So that was planted in 1970. It was in 1972 when the property where the winery sits right here behind us was not part of the Nathan Fay's vineyard property, and that became available for sale. So that was ideal and perfect. So that's when the winery itself was built in 1972. So Stag's Leap Vineyard has now become, over the years, really we call it SLV now for short, help distinguish it from Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, and for that matter, to help distinguish it from Stag's Leap Wineries. So 3 entities with very similar names, very different.
Very confusing.
And there's a little punctuation mark that, you know, identifies the difference between them. So Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, of course, most widely recognized for having put kind of Napa Valley here on the map and being a benchmark Cabernet producer. Our neighbor just north, Stag's Leap Winery, probably best known for their Petite Syrah.
Yeah. Historically, that's quite true.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, with your programs and in your educational programs, that's one of the many things you could help us get out is you know, what is Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, what is Stag's Leap Winery, what is Stag's Leap District?
Right.
People are utterly confused by that.
And people in the trade and right. I mean, it's, you know,
but
very misleading.
We've been very resolute in always referring to ourselves as Stag's Leap Wine Cellars. Some other entities have been a little bit looser with that, and they just say we're Stag's Leap.
Right. So we never abbreviate.
We never, ever abbreviate.
It might be a mouthful, but it's a good one.
Yeah, it takes just some practice.
You know their motto.
We're the first.
We're the one with the apostrophe on the right side of the S.
Oh, that's right.
Cute.
Yes.
Well, Stag's Leap Cellars is singular, so that's
right. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? We just have our reputation to stand on. We don't have to come up with little gimmicks.
I don't think that's different. I think
We both. That's right. You know what? We both produce, and we represent different things, and from a great neighborhood in Napa Valley. So, but it is confusing to the consumer, and they should know what they're getting. And both producers do exceptional jobs in their areas of expertise.
And it's a great district. You know, I will say, you know, again, having run too many wineries in my career and making Cabernet all over this valley, the Cabernet here is very different. And it's not just Stag's Leap Wine Cellars. You can go to Hartwell, you can go to Pine Ridge, Silverado, Chimney Rock. The Cabernets here are really quite special. And I think you'll see that in the
And there's a term we use for it too, and it's called, and I think the iron fist and the velvet glove. Yeah. And what that stands for is the wines from this district are known to have like this solid core of structure, you know, that give it ability to also age really well. But it's surrounded by this plush, velvety, soft, rich, you know, character. And so I think Karen McNeil has often says about the Stag's Leap district is, and Stag's Leap wine cellars in particular, is that it's this wonderful combination of having wines that are very delicious and approachable early on when they're released, but that also age for decades. And it's really hard to find that combination.
Yeah. So with that, let's go taste some wine.
Great.
Safe is not all rhetoric.
Yeah, that's right. You can decide for yourself.
Let's go drink, kids.
Excuse me.
3, 2, 1, live.
We're here at Stag. Oh my God. Okay. We're here at Stag's Leap Wine Cellar in beautiful Napa Valley, and I'm very excited to be with some really interesting and special people. We're with Sue Furtick, who is the Director of Marketing here at Stag's Leap Wine Cellar, and also with Steve Spadarato, who is the General Manager. And I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
Oh, pleasure having you here.
Thank you. I know we have 4 incredible wines in front of us. We're doing a little vertical tasting of the SLV. But I'd love to hear more about where we're sitting and how we got here and how both of you got here.
Well, this is a promise fulfilled, because when we met in Florida, I promised you that you came to Napa, we would do a vertical, and we are doing exactly that to show the progress and the style of Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, and that's what we have today.
And I'm very glad that you kept your promise.
I do that.
And this is the first time we've met, so.
It is, yeah. We had a lovely lunch.
Yes, we did.
Spectacular day here in Napa Valley, but almost every day is. And that's the beauty of, actually we're very lucky that standards are very high, because almost every day is beautiful in Napa Valley. We don't have a lot of vintage variation like other parts of the world. So.
Or weather variation?
Same thing. The weather creates the vintage.
And we're having the perfect vintage here, I have to say. The weather this year, it's been marvelous. Not only from a grape perspective, but from a human perspective. But the vines are rocking this year. And, the crop is looking to be of good size, because we've had 3 very short vintages back to back, and 3 very challenging vintages back to back. But this one so far, knock on wood, is unbelievably ideal.
What makes it so ideal?
You know, it's a combination of a lot of things, but the weather patterns have been very consistent. We haven't had big spikes in heat or cold. We haven't had rains at an awkward time, for example, in June of last year. So we've had really the perfect season all the way from bud break to where we are now. We're just now entering veraison, which is when the grapes begin to turn colors. And we have a very big shift in diurnal temperatures here in Napa. So in St. Helena, for example, we'll see 50 at night, and we'll maybe get to 90 during the day. So big swings in temperature, but perfectly dry, very little wind to speak of. So we had perfect set, perfect flowering, and so far, knock on wood, everything's ripening very evenly. The crop is the grape, the cluster spacing, the size, everything looks ideal. If you were going to paint a vine, this is what you'd want them to look at. And most importantly, right now, it looks like the crop load is pretty significant. So we're going to, right now, we're just beginning what we call thinning. So we actually send our crews out to reduce some of the clusters to make sure everything's in balance and can ripen perfectly. So it's just one of those things, again, knock on wood, couldn't be better than this.
So it really promises to be a vintage that's not only of great quality, but of considerable size. And not unlike, I think the last time we saw that was probably 2005, where both the quality and the quantity of the fruit coming off the vines was really spectacular. So especially on the heels of a couple of short vintages, this is really terrific news for everyone, especially the wine drinkers.
So I was going to ask you, so as far as the wine drinkers out there, what does this look like for when they want to come purchase instead of a bottle, maybe a case? Is there going to be
we always encourage that.
We can do that.
Will it make a big difference in the cost of the wine? Because
Well,
of having
there is a lot of variation in the cost that is that we pay really to create the wines. It's an agricultural product. So the smaller the crop size, we have certain overhead costs.
Right, understood.
That means, but what we do is we moderate pricing changes to the consumer. Just because, for example, the 2008 vintage, which we're going to taste today, was very small, it's very expensive for us. We can't pass all of that along to the consumer. So that's good news for the consumers. So we do try to moderate that.
Okay, and what vintages do we have here today?
Well, we have the vertical, obviously. When we were in Florida, we tasted the 2008 wines. Today, we're going to go through the 2006, 7, 8, and the almost to be released 2009. This is actually going to be released next month, is that correct?
It'll be released to consumers in September.
Yeah. And I think the exciting piece here, the winery is owned in a joint venture with St. Michel Wine Estates of Washington, and also the Antinori family from Italy. And that transaction actually happened in late 2007. So what we have here is a little bit of the before and after. So what we're trying to show you is not only one, the quality of the district, the quality of our estate vineyards, the lineage that those vineyards give us, but also show you the progress and the evolution in style that has transpired with the new ownership.
And are all of these vintages, are they all the same? Are they all 100% cab, or is there?
I believe,
with the exception of the 2006 has under 1% of Petit Verdot, and we do have half an acre of Petit Verdot in our vineyards. But from 2007 through 2009, it's 100% Cabernet.
All right. Well, I'm excited to try one.
So why don't you tell a little bit about the fire and water?
Sure. Well, although we're tasting SLV, which it's become known as SLV, but it really stands for Stag's Leap Vineyard, and that was the founding vineyard, and planted in 1970.
Is that beeping killing you? Did you hear that? That whole time, beep, 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 beep. The forklift was outside.
No.
All right. So starting in with the fire water, then. Sorry.
Okay. That's going to happen.
I hear it, but...
Okay, because that was like
That's
a
a
big
winery
deal
sound, at
before,
least.
so I was concerned about that. Oh, so let's start again with the fire water.
Okay.
Well, wait, you asked her to say, let's talk a little bit about.
Oh yeah, before we dive right into the SLV wines, I wanted you to talk a little bit about the estate vineyards and how this came about and
Sure.
why we're tasting.
Okay. So we have two estate vineyards. Our first vineyard, and that's the wines that we're tasting today, is from SLV, originally named Stag's Leap Vineyard, so SLV is short for Stag's Leap Vineyard, and that was planted back in 1970, really when the Napa Valley was going through its renaissance after Prohibition. So it was really a time of renewal here in the Napa Valley with a lot of pioneering spirit, if you will. So SLV quickly became very internationally recognized. So it was planted in 1970, and the first really commercial crop off of that vineyard was in 1973. And that was a wine that went on to a tasting in Paris in 1976.
Sure.
And unbeknownst really to anyone, this wasn't really foreseeably planned, but this tasting was put on by a wine merchant named Stephen Spurrier, and it was the American Bicentennial. So he wanted to show, he had come out here, tasted some of what was going on in the Napa Valley and California winemaking, of course, the French wines being kind of the benchmark for the world. And he thought it'd be really nice to bring back some bottles that showed a lot of promise about what's happening here. And he did that. And then he thought, I don't want to stack all of the cards. We're going to taste this against some French wines. Wasn't really set up to be a competition, but just to evoke some honest, assessment of the wines in
This
relation
is
to
what
Bordeaux.
spawned the movie that everybody's familiar with now.
And it spawned the book called
The book, right?
Judgment of
Paris,
Paris,
right.
by George Tabor, who was the only press there at the tasting. So, which would never have become so widely known if he actually wasn't there and didn't speak fluent French, because he could hear what all of the judges were saying. And he was the only one in the room that was also given the list of wines, the order of wines. So he knew what the judges were tasting, because these wines were tasted blind. Right? So the result of that tasting was that Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, and there were some other Napa Valley producers, tasted against some of the most widely well-known Bordeaux, including some first grows. And all of the judges were French wine experts, and they judged Stag's Leap Wine Cellars 1973 Stag's Leap Vineyard Cabernet to be the best. Well, needless to say, that did not sit well with the judges. But again, George Tabor was there to capture all of their comments. And then ironically, well, really, the white wine tasting occurred before that, and Chateau Montelena did the same thing, with the Burgundies. But really, that set a whole bunch of things in motion, and it opened up, everyone's eyes to the possibilities here in Napa Valley, and I think, we fulfilled that promise, really.
Without question.
That whole event would have been totally swept under the rug had George not been writing for Time Magazine. When it came out in Time Magazine, it became the shot heard around the world because it had such huge readership. Then all of a sudden, for the very first time, an American wine region was taken seriously at the international level. And it totally
this is
changed.
Back in 1976.
Yeah, a couple decades ago.
Yeah. So it was a great anniversary gift, or
bicentennial, right?
That's right. So SLV has a really historic role in place in Napa Valley and in American wine history. And in fact, a bottle of that wine sits in the Smithsonian Institute's National American History Museum. So pretty special. There are just 2 bottles of wine in that museum. So it really represents a significant achievement. And this winery has gone on, or this vineyard rather, has gone on to produce spectacular wine, some of which we're going to taste today. But I also wanted to point out the adjoining vineyard, which is the Fay Vineyard, and that was planted back in 1961 by Nathan Fay, who was a pioneering grower, pioneering for the fact that he planted in what's now the Stag's Leap District. And it was believed back then that this was way too south in Napa Valley to plant Cabernet, that it was too cool. We have some of the maritime influence from the bay to really ripen and get the kind of quality. Well, he proved them wrong. So we have 2 really historic vineyards side by side. And what's amazing about them is that the signature from each of these vineyards in the wine that they create is so distinctly different. And part of that we attribute to the soils. And we like to refer to it as the alchemy of fire and water. What we mean by that is the Fay Vineyard tends to have more alluvial-based soils. So we have there's a creek, Chase Creek, that runs through it. At points over time, the Napa River would flood in this area. So a lot more alluvial-borne soils. And it gives it the kind of the more water-like characters, more red berry fruit, a lot of perfume and aromatics and violets. Whereas SLV tends to have more of the volcanic soils. So we looked out at the Stag's Leap Palisade, large outcroppings, and that's all volcanic based. And over time, through erosion, we get more of those red soils, and you'll see that out in the vineyard where the soils of Fay can be more gray, and the soils of SLV are really rich and red. And so what that gives us in the glass is more of that spicy intensity and structure and minerality. I also like to refer to, for me, these 2 vineyards are like the genders. One's more feminine and one's more masculine.
She can get away with that.
Yeah, you can't say that.
But it's really quite true, and that's consistent year in and year out, is the Fay wines tend to be more supple, even silkier when they're young, very feminine in structure, where the SLV wines tend to be very masculine in structure.
And when they're young, or as they progress?
Especially when they're young, but to my palate, even when they've aged a bit. So they tend to be, again, very masculine, very structured. But to me, it's the essence of what Stag's Leap District Cabernet is supposed to taste like. And it is a very distinctly different appellation in Napa Valley than the other ones. You can grow Cabernet in Oakville, in Rutherford, Howell Mountain, Mount Beat, or wherever. And the structure and the style of the tannins are very different than they are here. So I really encourage people, if you're going to come to Napa Valley, spend a day or two just in the Stag's Leap District. Get to know the style of the district because it's truly unique. I think a lot of times people think all this appellation stuff is just silly. There's really a genuinity about it. It's really real, and I think it's really obvious to the palate if you just take the time to study the district. And then move on to Calistoga or St. Louis and try those wines, and I guarantee you'll see the difference.
Huge difference in all of that.
Huge difference.
Okay. Well, I would love to try some of the wines.
Okay. So let's start with the 2006, and so the 2000 again, going back to that kind of evolution in style, but that we're going to see as we go through the vintage. So 2006 was prior to the new ownership of the winery, and take a little taste here. You can smell some of that spiciness, some of that minerality.
Actually, a big color difference in these wines. If you just look at them vertically, it's amazing how different they all look.
I find it all to be just one beautiful piece of art. I mean, the more I taste, the more I speak to people about, the more I have the opportunity to experience them all. There's just so many different nuances, so many different beautiful things that you can get from every different glass.
And one of the things we're going to see in terms of how we vinify these wines, 2006 a little bit different in terms of its oak regimen. So we vinify all in 100% French oak, but the amount of new oak can vary from year to year. And in 2006, there was just about 54, 55% in new oak, and the balance is in 1 or 2 year old barrels. And then that tends to increase as we go through, and the 07 through the 09s, where we're more in the 85% new oak range. So it's and really Nikki Prusa, winemaker, doesn't subscribe. There's never a recipe. It's really all about what the vintage gives us, what those lots are tasting like after they go through fermentation, and what kinds of barrels are appropriate for that vintage in those lots.
Are you using all French oak?
All French oak.
Okay. And off this for just a minute. You've been with Stag's Leap Wine Cellars for how many years now?
Oh gosh, since 2005. So what does that make it? 7 years?
7 years now. And so
Lucky
from
seven?
when you, 7. So one, how did you get to here? And 7 years is a while to be here, so you must be enjoying it.
Oh, absolutely. So to answer the last question, the answer to the first question is a long story.
Yeah.
But let's just say that I turned an avocation into a vocation. So
haven't we all?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that what we all do?
It's a very passion-driven industry. So
it really
you get
is.
it because you'll love it and you stay
Well, the industry
in.
draws people that way, and it's interesting because we've all come from different industries, different educational backgrounds, but people come here, and I always call it the gilded cage. Once you're here, you'll never leave. It's too nice.
Right.
I mean, you can make a lot more money doing tech stuff in Silicon Valley or in this day and age drilling oil wells, but how can you leave this?
Well, and that was a trade-off I did make. I mean, I worked in the advertising and marketing industry in San Francisco for a long time.
With an agency.
With a very well-known ad agency called Hawaiian Partners. But the trade-off here, not just in the lifestyle, but in what we do every day. And frankly, working for Stag's Leap Wine Cellars for all these years, it's a little bit of pride of ownership. I mean, this is an iconic,
You know, how
Sure it is.
many people get an opportunity to work, whatever industry it is, you know, it's just for one of the most iconic brands or estates, you know, here. So I think there's just a lot of pride of ownership in terms of what we do and our historic role in the industry. And what's great about it is that we have an opportunity to share that story all the time with people like you and all our guests. So sure, Steve and I sometimes sit behind our desk and, you know, we're behind the email, but we always get to get out and share the story. And sometimes it's in the market when we go to wine festivals or do wine dinners. So, and seeing the joy that this brings to everybody else.
Oh, it's got to be a
Makes
fun
our
thing to
job.
do.
Realize too, I think everybody on the team, we view ourselves as stewards of this, not only this property, but the history that it conveys, what it means to the valley. And I think all of us, you know, whatever limited time we have managing and making these wines, we want to leave the wine and the brand and the property in a better condition than when we got our hands on it. And I think that's true of most people who are in the industry. It's a very noble pursuit, and we take the history very, very seriously.
And it's something to be so proud of, especially if you can say you had a role in taking it from the fabulous level that it was at when you got here to even to the next level. And we have 2 more wines we can taste.
Oh,
We
please
do.
dive right in.
So let's
We'll talk
go
your
right
ears
into
off.
the, that's right. Steve and I are not shy about.
But what I hope you see in the vertical, again, the vineyard is very consistent in what it gives us. You know, there certainly are vintage variations, there's no doubt about that, but these 2 vineyards are distinctively different every year. And SLV in particular, right, I think it's our flagship vineyard, obviously not only for historical reasons, but the style that it gives us as winemakers, it gives you a lot to play with. So with the transition from the former ownership and the new ownership, we had the ability to reinvest in the equipment. We brought in what's called a Mistral sorting table, which allows us to sort the fruit in a very different way. We changed the barrel regimen, as Sue said. And to a certain degree, what we're trying to do is really bring out even more of the character that vineyard gives us. It's not a lockstep change. We're not all of a sudden trying to dramatically change the style. But I think, at least to my humble palate, I see a very big change in the concentration in these wines and the richness on the mid-palate.
And the expression of the fruit, and that's what the investment in some of the new equipment that the partnership provides us. Fantastic new resources. And all that it does is allow us to show what's out in the vineyard in a somewhat more really clean, bright way. This Mistral sorting equipment, for example, it's a series of shaker tables, and then Mistral, which is French for wind, and then it goes through, passes through belts with wind that eliminates anything but really the purest berries. They look like baskets of blueberries. And so that unique signature and fingerprint of each vineyard shines through a little bit more.
And
so
how long have you been using this new equipment?
It was since with the 2008. So we haven't tasted. So you're starting to
that'll be
see
very
this
interesting.
evolution. And 2008 is maybe where there's a slight step change. And again, the style, I think the way we would describe our signature style is that we try to achieve a richness and body, but without weight, not with an unctuousness, or we try to avoid high alcohol.
So you're looking for the balance of the fruit and the oak and the minerality and the earth and everything to be nice and balanced, which is
We're
the
really
goal.
trying to bring out what Cabernet is supposed to taste like. Again, we're not chasing high alcohols, we're not dealing with residual sugars, some other people do. We're trying to make really pure Stag's Leap Vineyard Cabernet. And that's the difficult thing, is really getting that expression in the glass.
Well, you guys are doing a heck of a job.
And I gotta tell you, I know you're gonna jump into the open, we opened a magnum of the 1980 Cabernet. And I was stunned by that wine. That's the thing people don't talk a lot about, is how do these wines age?
Right.
Well, we had the 93 with lunch, but that 1980 just blew me away.
Oh, sure.
Because I expected it to be deader than a doornail by now.
And
The
not
wine
even
was
close.
still so young.
When's the last time you had a 73?
Oh, I have not had the 73.
I have.
I held the bottom of my hand, that's it.
There's very little 73, precious 73 left, but we have about a case and a half left.
Do you really? And you just recently had it, or when did you have it?
I had it
This would have been maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So it was an epic tasting, I have to say, because what we did was a 30-year vertical of all our estate Cabernets. So we wanted to see how the wines were holding up, and we have a considerable library, which is terrific. So I'm telling you, we tasted wines from as early as 72, all the way, decade by decade, all the way through 2000.
In one sitting?
No.
Okay.
That would be hard. It was over the course of a day and a half, and in 2.5-hour blocks. So we did a decade. So we did a sitting in the morning, we did the 70s in the morning, the 80s in the afternoon, and then the 90s the following day. So, and it was before, I'm afraid it was.
Reign of Terror.
Yes. But so impressive and so memorable, and wines from the 70s also that are still
very
bright and alive.
So of those, what were the 3 best vintages that you can recall?
Well,
can I ask that?
No, I have to say there were very few vintages where I thought, and there were a couple where I thought the wines, they had reached their peak. They were starting to fade. But for the most part, they were amazing. And in any one vintage, one wine might have been showier than another. So in one vintage it could have been cask, in another it could have been SLV or Fay. So it's super hard to say, but I'm telling you, almost anything in the 80s and the 90s are definitely worth tasting.
But particularly the 80 and the 85.
The 85 was an epic.
The 05 is a real rock star too, so there's some really nice wines out there.
And the 90s, I think, every single vintage was
Including the one that the certain magazine shot down, the 98 drank okay?
The 98?
Yes.
I don't pay attention to those certain
Okay.
Do ratings matter?
No, I think it's up to everybody's personal taste,
Well,
but
I know
there was a rumor about that.
So what you're referring to is some of the wine critics felt like the 98 vintage in Napa Valley was subpar.
Right.
And what's interesting, and the 1997 vintage was hailed as an epic vintage. Well, taste those wines 10, 15 years later, and I think there's a real shift, and I would say that 98 is showing, it's coming into its own and is showing super well, and depending on the producer, in some cases better than the 97. Yeah, I think it was an underdog. It took a while for those wines, for that vintage, to show its better
true
side.
colors.
But now,
Yeah.
and ask around, I think other people would agree.
So at the end of the day, you get to taste people, obviously you have to do tastings like this and lunches or just tasting people in the tasting room. And then at the end of the evening, there's some wines left over. I would imagine you get to take them home maybe and get to drink them afterwards.
You know what we do? We let our tasting room staff, especially if they're library wines like this, because we want them to know as much, the people who are greeting, all of our guests every day, we want them to have as wide an experience with our wines as possible. So, yep, we'll put a cork in these wines and we'll bring it down to, and let our tasting room staff enjoy.
It's one of the many perks of working in a place like this. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Sounds like fun. I might consider changing careers a little bit.
You know that a lot of people retire, move to Napa Valley,
And work in
then work
tasting
tasting
rooms.
That's exactly
I
right.
certainly can understand that.
It's a good gig.
So then another question. I know, one of the biggest things, most important things about wine is how well it goes with food. I mean, wine and food are a natural. I don't eat meat. So, a lot of people do. I'm assuming that these would be, I think that even based on our lunch today, these would be meaty wines.
And you
But
share
if-
something in common with our winemaker.
Who doesn't eat meat?
Who doesn't eat meat.
Wow.
And who appreciates Cabernet with all
With
of
what?
her meals.
What would she?
I think she likes a lot of grilled vegetables. I think work beautifully well with these wines.
I would agree with that.
And I think it has less to do with the vegetable versus fish versus beef as it does the alcohol content of the wine. I think a wine with a moderate alcohol content is generally a good food wine. But if you're producing wines in the 16% range, it just doesn't work. They don't pair with anything.
No,
it's essentially a glass of port.
Oh, well, yeah, I was just going to say, it sounds more like it's dessert for after food.
But we've seen the winemakers in California in particular and in France beginning to back down on their alcohols because it became very, very vogue, very shishi to chase those higher alcohols. And the wines, frankly, they're out of balance.
Yeah.
And I don't think they age very well. They're really cute when they're 2 years old, but 10 years in the bottle, they're gone. They're terrible. And that's not a path that this winery's ever followed. We've always kept the alcohols in moderation.
Well, that's good, and it obviously shows the wines are delicious.
Well, shall we taste the 2008? So the 2008 does represent the first wine of the partnership, really from the beginning to end, from bud break to bottle is what we like to call it.
The partnership meaning when you got involved with?
The partnership when St. Michelle Wine Estates and the Antonori family
Joined forces.
joined forces and purchased the winery.
All right.
And it really is a beautiful marriage because if you think about it, we have the benefit of the resources of St. Michelle Wine Estates, but also the great resources and the history of the Antonori family. This is the 26th generation of Antonoris running this company. They founded the company in the 1300s. And they have an amazing resource just in their winemakers who have come in and assist us in making these blends. So for example, just yesterday, we had Renzo Cottarella here, who is their lead winemaker. We were working on the blends for Vintage 11. And to sit at a table not unlike this with Renzo and Nikki and Mark Smith, one of our other winemakers, and Doug Gore, Ray Einberger, and spend the entire day from 8:30 on going through young Cabernets. We all look like monsters because our teeth were totally black. But it's just to be able to go through lots with these fine, talented individuals and try to really, again, steward the future of the Stag's Leap Wine Cellars forward. It's one of those things I sometimes catch myself just saying, I can't believe I'm even in the room.
Sitting there watching the icons of it that created it and that have the vision for what they want it to be like and taste like, and then they're actually able to make that happen.
And the exciting outcome for me, at least, was to rub elbows with these folks, but also at the end of the day, we all landed on some blends that were just stunning. And it's interesting to see the collaboration happen. You would think artists are winemakers, largely. Sometimes they do get at each other, but when they actually click into collaboration, they all agree, it's like that eureka moment. Wow, we found it. So yesterday we were working on the SLV blend for Vintage 11, and we all agreed on a blend. And we were all, frankly, so proud of ourselves because, again, we felt like the lineage, as you see here, was being fulfilled. And we felt like we had done our job as stewards to not only continue the great history, but maybe improve on it, which is the real challenge.
So 8 is a stunning glass of wine. This is beautiful.
That's the first step forward.
Right.
But again, I think it's true to the vineyard, it's true to the history, it's true to the historical style. But I think, to my humble palate, it brings out a new level of concentration that I'm really very fond of. And this is the wine we have when we were in Florida together. So
I like it all.
But now you get to compare and contrast.
Yeah, no, that was fun because we did a whole different kind of a tasting.
Very different tasting, yes.
Yeah, so this is a treat, and thank you very much.
That's what we do here.
Appreciate it so much. We've met before, and I was so happy that you invited me here.
Of course,
and it's really a pleasure to meet you too.
Well, I have these great resources to share. We have to share them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Quite welcome. Cheers.
Cheers.
Miss Freddy.
Clanking, the traditional clanking. You know you have to look in each other's eyes when you do that.
Yeah, some people take that to an extreme though. So.
I thought I did. You're good.
Great tasting here at Stag's Leap Wine Center. Great tasting here at Stag's Leap Wine Cellars. And thank you.
And we have one more to go.
Oh, and we have one more to go.
One more
The
to
baby.
go. So this is the baby. So this has not yet been released. So it's great
Maybe a
preview
month
of
away from release.
of what to come.
It's the newest baby in the family.
Okay, so this is made of so this is the second one. Since
The 08 is actually sold out. We're going to be moving into the 9 here in about a month. And I can tell you, the vintage 2009 Cabernets are outstanding all over the valley.
Yeah.
It was just a great vintage. The only problem with the 09s is a very short vintage, so you're going to see prices go through the roof. Sorry, but the quality is one of the best of the decade.
I love it from the valley too.
A lot of the cult wines are already out. We've tasted them in the competitive sets, and I would put this up against any wine from Napa this year. But it's a lot of structure, very young,
It is very
Definitely a wine that cries out for some bottle time. But again, I think what I get is I get that typical Stag's Leap District silk. That iron fist and a velvet glove. There's a lot of tannin and a lot of structure in the wine, but it doesn't strip your mouth. It doesn't hurt. It's, it slaps you a little bit, but it doesn't knock you down. So I think it's, for me, that says I'm a masculine wine. I'm loaded with concentration. I've been aged very seriously in very expensive oak. I need a little bit of time in the bottle, but if you really wanted to drink this wine, you could. But I would say lay it down.
But you say take it home, lay it down.
I always tell people buy a case and drink one bottle every year,
right.
Or buy 12 cases and drink one case every year. It's up to you. But it's a great vintage. If you were wanting to put wine aside, this would be a great vintage to put wine.
So anybody who had a child in 2009
is the child's going to be lucky. If they can keep the parents' hands off the wine until they're 21, they'll have it.
Right. So. Be a great 21st birthday. Thank you again very much.
Quite welcome.
Cheers. Thank
Cheers,
you.
guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Now do your outro again.
Do what?
Now end it again.
End it again? Just do what we go. Thank you so much. Cheers, cheers. Cheers.
How about once again, I'm Sherry. We're here at...
You want me to end it like that? Okay. You want to say once again? You want me to say once again?
Well, I don't think you did introduce yourself in the beginning. So.
Okay, introduce
But
myself.
if it's a series...
Okay, we'll have it till we have it. Yeah. Once again, I'm Sherry Gurman with the American Fine Wine Competition. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.
It's the end of the day and the sun is setting down in beautiful Napa Valley, and we're going to end the day with a wonderful, wonderful tasting, a winery called Roca. And we're down here in the southern part of Napa, and actually this particular winery took best of class Merlot this year at the American Fine Wine Competition. And Mary Roca's agreed to taste some wines with us. I don't know what she brought yet, but let's go and see. Hi, Mary.
Hey, Sherry.
How are you? It's great to see you too.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for meeting us at the end of the day.
Our pleasure.
When you probably get to be home now having dinner.
Well, you know what this time of day is.
Cocktail time?
It's Vespera time.
It's Vespera
That's
time.
the name of our new blend. It's called Vespera, and it's a Latin word that means it's that late afternoon, early evening time of day.
Oh, just like now.
And we say, what better time for friends and family to get together and have great food and wine together?
Oh, so this is perfect.
Yeah.
Well, then
So there you
wonderful.
go.
Thank you. What else are we going to be tasting today?
So we also are going to have, I brought, whoa, this table's moving on us. I brought two different vineyard designate Cabernets. I brought our Collinetta vineyard. This is the Collinetta vineyard, and Collinetta is an Italian word for little hill. As you can see, we have this planted 360 degrees around this little hill. And then our other Cabernet is our Grigsby Vineyard Cabernet. And this vineyard is named after my husband, Eric Grigsby.
All right.
So it'll be really fun. Both of these Cabernets are 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. And so that way you can tell really what the difference is in the wine based on terroir. It's the same winemaker, same barrel regimen, same vintage.
All right.
The difference is just the vineyard.
And they're both from Napa Valley,
both from Napa Valley.
But there's different
microclimates. These are actually two different appellations.
Okay.
Appellations is just a fancy name for a given district within the Napa Valley.
Right.
And then it's a vineyard within each appellation. So they're only maybe about 10 miles apart or so as the crow flies, but the difference in, you can tell right here, we're getting these early evening breezes.
Yes, we are.
Getting us, a little bit cool. And so this vineyard cools off a lot more quickly at the end of the day than does our Yountville, the Grigsby vineyard, which is up in the Yountville appellation.
All right. Well, I also wanted to Eric's sitting at the table with us, Mary's husband. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And also with us is Chef Lee, who's been with us all actually for quite some time now, and Robert. He's with us too. So we're all going to enjoy some fabulous Roca wine at the end of the day.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
So actually, I know we're going to pour the wine and we'll taste it. And rather than go through all the tasting notes and all that, because actually I know your wines are awesome. This year your Merlot took best of class at the American Fine Wine Competition.
Right.
And that was wonderful. You didn't bring any, but that's okay.
We won. I'm sorry.
I'm teasing you.
I couldn't remember which one won. I think two different things got gold.
The Syrah.
Yes.
Also.
Yes,
But this is going to be fun because I've never had the Vespera, so that'll be fun. But besides wines, and I would definitely, we're going to taste through the wines and all. But besides that, you do something else besides being a winemaker.
A vintner?
A vintner.
I don't know what exactly. I do all sorts of different things.
Well, you travel a lot.
Yeah,
And I just, how does that tie in? I mean, you just recently got back from a trip to Asia.
Right, that's correct.
And
well, that was, Eric and I actually just finished a global MBA program with Duke University, and that's what took us there.
Right.
And when we were there, we actually did do a little bit of work in the wine business.
Because that's a big market now, isn't it?
It's a big market, and I have some wine that's heading over to China right now. It's one of my biggest shipments of wine ever.
Really? That's what we've been hearing, actually, talking to people now and learning how that China is such a huge market right now, and that so many of the wines are going over there, and not just American wines, but they're really big into French wines
all
too.
over.
And Australia, all over, right?
Right, yeah. The French, well, all of the other countries pretty much all got there before we did, so they're just learning about Napa wines now. And they're liking them.
Oh, good.
Of
Good.
course.
They should.
Yeah.
How could they not?
Exactly.
So that's kind of neat that you tied in both working on the program for Duke and then also bringing the wines over there.
Right. It was actually, it made the made our stay a lot more enjoyable because we met people from the area and talked to them. You know how business is done so much differently there than it is here. It's all about relationships. With the people that you're selling to, but also then those people, the people that buy the wine, they buy it primarily to give as gifts. That's the fine wine in China. It's primarily bought to gift to your friends and your business colleagues and to government officials, that sort of thing.
Oh, that's right. I've heard how that works too in China.
I think it works that way a lot of places.
Probably.
Not here in the United States, really, but most other countries it seems to.
Yeah. So we're going to try the Vespera?
Let's start with the Vespera, yes. So. There we go, Chef.
You haven't tried this yet?
I have not.
Oh, this is just...
Stop it just to make sure.
He's going to just, it's good for him to double check. We almost never
it's
have.
nearly perfect. Thanks.
Nearly perfect.
Have to leave a little room at the
Look
top.
how beautiful the color is. Oh my goodness.
This is a lovely wine, actually. It's our only Cabernet blend. And it's really just keep lovely.
You bet.
If I can brag.
Oh my goodness.
Is that smelling
is
good?
Beautiful.
We just opened it, so it will open up and evolve as we go. Could you pass me the other glasses?
Oh, sure.
So this is the first time we've been trying their blend, and this is the first blend that, or the only blend that Roca's making right now. It's rich, it's bright, it's deep, it smells delicious. It's perfect for right now. I can see it perfect for later as well. I hope this one gets to participate in our competition coming up in January.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, the nose on it is stunning. So tell us a little bit about it.
So this is our 2008 Vespera. That's the very first year that we made this wine, the Vespera. It is primarily a Bordeaux blend. It's a little bit more than 50%, I think 52 or 9% Cabernet Sauvignon. You have some wine on your nose. Sorry.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
Because it's a waste, right? It should be in your mouth.
Don't want to waste it. And
nice.
And then it has Petit Merlot and Petit Verdot, and then it does have a little splash of Syrah in there.
And it should too, because your Syrah is one of the most luscious,
it is pretty wonderful,
delicious, wonderful wines.
Yes.
This is beautiful.
Cheers.
Yeah, nice to have you guys here.
Thank you. Nice to be here. So what kind of production did you do on the Vespera?
Don't quote me on it, but I think around 400-ish cases.
So small production.
Very small. We're very
shop,
small.
yeah.
I mean, that's probably one of the things that we make the most of.
Really?
You know, I mean,
I know you're a small winery. I knew that, but I thought that you did a little bit more.
We fluctuate between 1,000 and 2,000 cases, depending on the vintage. The last 3 years, we've had really, really small crops, and because I actually sell more of our fruit than we keep to make wine with, I kind of took the hit the last couple of years when we didn't have enough grapes as much as I had promised people.
Right.
We just brought our production down a little bit.
We also just keep the very best.
I'm sure you do. And why shouldn't you?
Right. So if it's a little bit of a small vintage and the grapes aren't perfect, more or less, we want to keep the wine near perfect. Yes. So we just want.
Well, so far so good.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But this is you started this project when? How long have you been?
We bought our first vineyard, the Grigsby Vineyard, up in Yountville in 1999. It was a producing vineyard, so it was already planted and it had been producing grapes for, when it had been replanted 10 years before we bought it. So it had been there, I don't know how long before that even.
Right.
So we bought that in 99, started making wine that same year. And then we bought this piece of property the next year in 2000, and we planted it in 2002. So, and we started making wine off of this in 2006.
Oh my good. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where's the winery going to be in 5 years?
That's a really, really, really good question. And it's something, we just finished business school. So now we're looking at this with an eye to a little more knowledge, going a long ways. Just trying to decide in some ways we're thinking we may eventually drop down to primarily doing the 2 cabs in the Vespera and making just really small, we already make small amounts of the Merlot and Syrah, but maybe even making smaller amounts. Just because it's when you're really small, it's consumers can become confused as to what is it that you stand for. And really, we are a Cabernet house, So
you're going to start making more Cabernet, and a little less of the Merlot and a little less of the Syrah.
Yeah.
So that's what you see happening in 5 years. And as far as production, are you planning to get any more land? Are you planning to?
That's a hard question. I love farming. To me, the farming end of it is just it's the heart of the whole business.
And you're out there doing it.
I'm not the one that farms. I have a wonderful vineyard manager and great crew, so they are the ones that take credit for making, growing these wonderful wine grapes. Could not do it without their talent. They are great. But I just, it's fun to see the grapes, the evolution through the year. Starting in January, there's nothing here but the pruned vines and all of that, and then seeing what happens through the year. And I like selling the grapes to other people and seeing how happy they are with what we produce. That makes me feel really good. So we'll always make wine, but
well, that's good to know.
We might, who knows, depending on how well our wine sells. Maybe we'll buy another vineyard someday. Depending on how well my husband's practice does, huh?
And there's another question. So you are not doing the wine production end of it. That's not.
Yeah, no. So we got into this originally because we just enjoyed the vineyard. Basically, we enjoyed the seasons of the vineyard and the agricultural end of it.
So it started like as a hobby?
Well, no, it started as a farming business. I'd say. A little bit more than a hobby.
Oh, not a hobby.
Sadly,
Never.
At least in our financial range, 20 or 30 acres of vineyards in Napa Valley is a little bit more than a hobby.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, we enjoyed the farming the most, and of course it quickly came to winemaking because that's I think where a lot of the energy and the creativity and the success of Napa Valley's in winemaking. So we just frankly wanted to see what we could do, see if we could contribute to the excellent name that Napa Valley has. And
you know, Mary's done a fantastic job of making a great expression of the grapes that we've grown, you know, in these wines. And but I don't think we see ourselves growing to a great big winery. That's not really our ambition. We'd be, I think, I speak for both of us, we'd be a lot happier making a couple thousand cases of superb wine.
Yes.
You know, that we can share with our friends and family, and that people come to us and ask for and appreciate, you know, on a kind of a personal level. We don't really have an ambition to make it into a commodity business.
Okay, so keeping it as a family operation, and you know, there's so many wineries that start as family operations, and then we're seeing something that I find is rather sad, seeing them be bought up by larger corporations. And so I would hope, I mean, certainly with the way, and then the wines change. They just don't have that.
They're not going to be the same then.
There is no way.
No.
Okay, well, that's good to know. We got that on film.
When you get a cheap, well, I don't mean any disrespect to our bigger projects, you know, our colleagues that run big projects, but some of this doesn't foot to a hard return on investment, right? At least not in the short run.
Right.
It has to work for us. Again, Mary and I are working people that saved a couple of dollars and got into the wine business, but we still need to make it foot to a reasonable business plan. But nevertheless, there are some parts of this that you do for the love of the life and the love of the wine and the grapes. And you know, when you're a corporation and you're responsible to shareholders, it's a little different, right? It's just a little different ethos, and you can't do the things that we can do and make these handcrafted wines. It's just not the business that they're in. They do a fantastic job, some of the bigger projects at the business.
No question, absolutely.
But we do a different thing. You know, we're artisanal wine, handmade essentially. Everything's hand farmed, hand done. You know, we use a lot of machines in making the wine. That's the nature of it. These stimmers and so on. Nevertheless, you know, this is a product of the land and of our desire to make great wine, not of a financial statement or a balance sheet.
Understood.
Very
Understood.
true. Yeah.
And you're opening up your tasting room when?
That is the question of the day.
We should take them down to the Napa County offices, the planning office, and maybe they can help us with that project a little bit.
We are, you know, we bought an old Victorian house, and it took 2 years to, you can't have a tasting room without having a winery, so it took a couple years to get the permit to just even have a winery there. And then you have to start in on the permits for all the different changes and things that you're going to do just to bring it from residential to commercial and all those things. So we're evaluating that project as we speak, trying to decide if it's worth
doing
that much more money and that much more time again, or if we should just say, hey, you know, let's go find an easier place to do it.
Oh, so it's a property that you found, but you're not able to get all of the, okay.
And that we're I mean, we've been moving forward slowly but surely, but it's taken a little longer than we really thought it would. So
we'll see how it pans
we'll
out.
see what happens.
Okay. Well,
we're
you know
going
what?
to be somewhere though. Our goal is we're going to be open
somewhere.
for too long.
Well, this isn't such a bad tasting room. I don't think you have to pull permits for this, do you?
No, we don't. Thank goodness.
You know, and honestly, we've been so fortunate, you know, with a loyal bunch of customers and, you know, with the kind of relatively small volume of wine we make. So we're not looking to blow, you know, 20,000 cases out of a tasting room a year. But we do want a home base, you know, where people can come and have a serious conversation about wine. We can do that. If they don't want to come to the vineyard, can't, what have you. But it's not crucial to our mission to have a big storefront, right?
Well, fair enough.
Are we going to try the Cabernet also?
Oh, I sure hope so.
I hope so.
Actually, both of them, aren't we? Is this the...
Yeah.
So which cab is this? This is the Grigsby. Oh, I'm sorry. This is, okay, let me...
Taste that?
Did you?
This is the cab?
That's the Grigsby cab.
Okay, so this is...
So that's probably going to be a little bit of an edit there. Since you're so boutique, I have a question. Where does a consumer get your product right now? Is it strictly like through a wine club, or they come directly to you?
Mainly from our website and wine club, although we're in a number of nice restaurants in the valley and in several states. But we're, you know, to be honest, we're kind of spoiled. We kind of go to cities where we want to travel.
Who's this?
You know, and pick out a few nice restaurants and build a few relationships. You know, so we don't.
So do you have a distributor in South Florida yet?
Good question.
No, we need a distributor in Florida.
Well,
with such a small production, I mean, well, Lee can certainly help, but you know, because we can buy direct in South Florida, sometimes you don't really need one. And I think I found that some of the really small boutique wineries, like what you all do, don't want to have one because to have that extra level of the prices go up a little.
Absolutely,
definitely
down,
does.
The prices are up.
Gonna go
so
right.
Consumers don't buy them as well, so you know it's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
And like I say, we're fortunate to, you know, we can sell most of it here, so we want to. But you want to have your wine in places that are proud to have your wine, and there are a lot of restaurants and fine wine shops that have done a great job for us, and we want to support them too. So that's part of the game, right? We want to be successful in the food and wine business. So.
Well, and then in that case, we need to talk to Lee because you have to get down into the market only through a distributor. Otherwise, you're going only into private homes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, let's see how this cab is.
So who would like to try the Cabernet?
Me, but I'm not getting into this.
Okay, you can take your time. You can, whenever you're ready, you let us know, Chef Lee.
I like the way you think.
There you go, Robert.
Oh, this is lovely.
This is the Grigsby Cabernet. So this is the one from the Yountville appellation. So
it takes itself a little
it's our
seriously.
2008. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, take a look at these.
Yeah. So so this is from the Grigsby Vineyard. It's the Yountville appellation. This is actually, the Yountville appellation is a really strange shape. It's almost shaped like a dog. And we are on one corner of it. Our vineyard is. We have 21 acres there. And it's right across the street from the Stag's Leap District.
Okay.
So you might find some similarities with our Cabernet and some of the Cabernets from right around that location. There's a lot of times the Stag's Leap District is known for having a little cocoa on the nose, and a lot of times you can catch that on this. Did you get
This is
some?
the Vespera still. That's the cab still. So there's several projects.
Also getting a lot of mineral, a lot of, you know, I don't know, there's a steeliness to it a little bit, I think.
Tannins are a little tighter, you know, on this wine than on the Vespera. Vespera is a little easier.
This will open up in just a minute, though.
And even right out of the bottle.
Usually this is pretty fruit forward as it warms up.
It's
You'll
delicious,
probably
though.
catch that. There's a lot of the nice bright dark stone fruits here that you'll catch. Maybe some blackberry and raspberry, a little bit of the chocolate sometimes. This, my winemaker likes to say that this is, when you're comparing the two Cabernets, that this is more the voluptuous, sexy, in-your-face kind of wine. Whereas when we get to this one, it's just a little more structured and aristocratic.
So I want to cheat a little bit because I want to try them side by side. So I emptied that glass.
You should do that. You should definitely do that. There you go.
It's funny, we were actually in the Stag's Leap District today. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the 09, which is the 09 wine that we tasted there earlier. That was a little tight, but you can see that there was so much going on in the glass that you know it's going to open up and just be magnificent.
It was good air in that area. We had great harvest. We had small-ish harvest, but really great qualities.
So this will be fun.
Fun to see the difference, huh?
Yeah, you're right. This one has definitely. This is
Which one is this? The Colinetta?
No, this is the
This
is the Grigsby. This is the Colinetta.
Pressure, you know, you got to kind of come out with something, especially if you're at.
And the Colinetta definitely has that more of an elegance and
You don't want to come out with 2,000 cases of not great wine. You know?
not as in your face.
Right, definitely not. It's just a little more. Yeah.
It's really fun to compare the two.
Isn't
you know.
it fun? It's just amazing what 10 miles will do. Yeah.
I'm gonna pass
Not
that
you
around.
even
You wanna
need
try
10
it next to the
miles.
wine?
You can change, you know, yards from one place to another. You can get a difference, but.
And it, you know what? In just a minute, in just 2 minutes, this is already starting to.
It'll open up, yeah. Because, you know, even though the corks were out of this,
when
the wine's up to here, it's not breathing.
Right.
It has to get out in the glass and get down a little bit before it will.
What do you think about aerators?
You know, I think that if you enjoy it, I don't use one. I probably should because I am not real good at patiently sitting there to wait for my wine to open up. Yeah, I mean, if you like, if if you enjoy that, and if you like the fun of using it, or want your wine
They
to
are
open
making
up
them.
more quickly,
They're making them very entertaining now.
They are. So I mean, if it's all personal preference.
Right.
I mean, but they do. They will
They do.
quickly aerate your wine. So.
And if you don't have patience, it's
If you
probably
don't
not
have
such a
patience,
bad
then
idea.
It's a good idea. Otherwise, just get a nice, pretty decanter out.
And
I mean,
just-
just the
right.
act of pouring it into a decanter is going to open it up some, and
Sure.
then the big, wide open, you know.
What do you like to pair your wines with when you're having dinner? What are your
Almost anything.
favorite?
I mean, truthfully, our wines are so smooth and approachable that we eat them. We drink our wines with almost anything that we're eating, because they're balanced and all of that. But a great steak. You go ahead.
Duck.
Yeah,
Duck is my favorite thing to have with Roca Cab. I know it's kind of a little offbeat, but duck is where it is with Roca Cab, just to be clear on that.
And lamb. We definitely eat a lot of meat, so our wine goes very well. But you know, we also have fish a couple times a week, and we'll drink our red wines with the fish.
Well, I want to tell you that these wines are stunning. They're elegant. They're lovely, as I remembered. I didn't get, actually with these. I mean, I've had your other wines, but they're beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And I want to thank you for letting us come and have a little Vespera with you.
It is a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Nice to see you.
Yes. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers, Robert. Yes.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Well done. You guys are pros. Good interview, good camera work.
Because you weren't absolutely sure you were here, but there is a.
All right. So what else are you growing here besides grapes? I see tomatoes.
Yeah, that's my garden, my basil.
And your basil?
Yeah.
Where's his mic?
Right there. Is it too low?
Hold that.
Here, I got it.
Jimmy.
How about that? A little better. Well, that's gonna.
Well, let's do this actually.
All right. Talk to me.
Talk to you.
Talk to me. I hear you.
Testing.
I don't know if he does. Testy. I don't see any. I heard we had Verizon going on. Not yet.
It's red. It's really close. This is the block of Zinfandel here.
All right.
And here we have it set up on a little divided system, so you can actually kind of see down through the rows here. You actually see a V section down through here. Divide the light up a little bit more. Okay, so we get a double canopy here.
Yep.
So there's almost like having four total leaf surfaces here. And can't quite see it right now, but at the peak time of the day here, you actually see all shade on the floor here, basically. So that says basically the leaves are gathering the sunlight at that point in time.
And by gathering the sunlight, what they're doing is
the carbohydrates into the fruit, basically, and it's all about the photosynthesis, basically, that's going on with the leaves here at this point in time. So yeah. And not only that, but then it gives me an opportunity for people to split out the fruit a little bit more, get a bit more airflow in here, get a bit more dappled light in here on the fruit itself, because we want a little bit of sunlight, but we don't want to overdo it up here.
Right. Right. And so these are this is all Zin.
Yeah.
And how old are these vines?
These are planted in 95.
95. And prior to that, was there something else here?
Walnuts.
Walnuts.
Yes, exactly. So
Walnuts don't do as much good for you financially as a little bit of grapes.
No, not these days. Not these days. So yeah.
Cut.
So
I think now's a good time as any. Why don't you write?
So we went along the long and winding road, and the long and winding road, and the long and winding road, and we finally arrived in beautiful Lake County. And our first stop today is at Gregory Graham, and this is Gregory Graham.
Morning, Sherry.
Good morning. It's so nice to see you.
Pleasure.
And it's fabulous to be in your vineyards.
Well,
we went straight to it.
Great. Well, picked a nice day for today. I think the tide temperature today is supposed to be about 90 degrees here, but as you see here, we have lots of sunshine here.
It's
and that's what
beautiful.
makes Lake County unique up here. We're not impacted by the marine layer. We get lots of sunshine here. The vines love it.
And so you don't have the fog.
No.
And you're high above. What elevation are we
2,000
at?
feet elevation right here.
And you're growing, so right here we're looking at Zinfandel, right?
Yeah, so on the property I have Zin, Grenache, Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon,
And I just grafted a little bit of Syrah with a Petite Syrah as well too.
Ooh, like that. Looking forward to tasting some of your wines.
We'll do that.
Want to walk through the vineyards a bit?
Yes, yes, we'll please. Yeah, let's take a ride.
Property.
27 acres of vineyard, 40 acres total.
And the other acreage is used for?
Always a couple houses and just basically Carolina.
How long have you been in Lake County?
12 years now.
12 years. You started, well, actually I wanted to wait a little bit, but you, ooh, look at this. Wow, that is beautiful. You made a canopy.
Well, it made sense here because this is a division in between the Syrah down here and the Grenache up here. And typically when we harvest these things and do the work here, rather than having to walk all the way to the end of the vine row and come back down, thing is it splits it up because typically we operate it and work it all by different blocks here. And so what I have here now, the Syrah is all in front of us here. And I have two Antave clones from, or two selections from Albin, a 2 and a 4. Then I have two Antave clones, a 174 and a 470.
And you got into Rhone varietals how?
Well, I started making Viognier back in '94.
For
myself, for Gregory Graham Wines, okay? And then added Syrah in '97, okay? And really we've been trying to champion the whole Rhone theme now forever, but it's been a struggle.
It's a challenge. It's amazing to me that people don't appreciate as much as I think they should Syrahs and Grenache.
And if you talk to people what they like in wines, how they describe what they like in wines,
they're describing
Syrah right to a T.
Right.
Okay, they want fruit, they want structure, they don't want a lot of tannins, aggressiveness. They want wines to be supple. That's Syrah. And so then we have Grenache on this side over here. This here I'm making a varietal Grenache as well too, and then using it for a little bit of blending. I do a Cinder Cone Reserve, which is a blend of Cab Sauv, Grenache, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Malbec. Kind of an interesting blend here.
That is an interesting blend.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a bit of an adventure to start blending Bordeaux varietals with Rhone varietals.
Well, if I have them, okay.
Why
so
not try it?
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. So.
Right.
So right now in the Grenache here, this whole thing here is a as you see, they're pretty good sized clusters.
Yeah, they are.
Actually we made one pass and did a little drop. Now we're making another pass now and making a little bit of a crop adjustment here, kind of getting the fruit loosened up here a little bit so the stuff hangs and it's not stacked on top of one another here.
So when you say you're making a drop, this is
that was probably 3 weeks ago. That one was.
So
and that one, at that time we were just cutting off shoulders and everything that was on weak shoots, stuff that didn't get to the top wire here. We cut the fruit off of it. But this year here, last year was pretty much a disaster here in the Grenache. I hit about 25% of which I usually get because we had late spring rains, and therefore the set was not good. Now this year is trying to make up for it. So I got to adjust it because this whole thing here is about getting concentration into the fruit, getting concentration into the wine. Okay. And that being said, the thing is that way it can make a standalone Grenache. Otherwise, it typically ends up being kind of can be a little bit on the wimpy side.
So you're saying a standalone Grenache needs to have a little more depth. Otherwise, it could be.
Exactly. So we concentrated here in the vineyard. We concentrated in the winery.
Now these are, like you said, these are big clusters.
Yes.
So how many clusters do you like on a vine in order to get what you're looking for?
Depends upon the strength of the shoot. The thing is, so we use a criteria here that. If the clusters don't make it to the wire, take the fruit off totally. To the top of the wire here, to this wire, 1 cluster. Anything above it gets 2 clusters. pretty much a pretty easy criteria.
Yeah,
and the guys
follow it.
can understand that too, because the thing is that when you explain something to them, you have to be exact to how you do it, simple and right to the point, because otherwise it ends up getting lost in translation.
And yes, how many people do you have working in the vineyard?
I have 2 full-time guys, but typically a lot of these things I bring a crew in and get the work done.
Because you got to get it done.
Yeah, because the thing is that I like being able to do it with my guys because I get a real hands-on type of effect. Okay, but then some things just have to be done then and now, and the only way you can do it is get 8 or 10 guys.
A lot of people,
yeah,
right? Got a lot of guys working on it. Well, I think look at the view from here. This place is magnificent.
I got their solar on the winery done. We put that on last year, so that's all working good. So we're all following the sustainable practices, not only in the winery but in the vineyard as well too. Yeah, so
that's great.
The black stuff you see down here is an organic compost. We use a supplement. I don't use any inorganic fertilizers. It's all
So it's completely organic.
Well, I don't follow the whole organic procedure here because I use a little bit of herbicide here for Roundup here for weeds. Okay. Because the thing is, I'm on a hillside here, so erosion is an issue. Okay, so I don't cultivate. So,
okay.
And I try to do things that make sense for myself, my site, and economically as well too. So I'm trying to take all those things into play.
When you say I don't cultivate, you mean?
I use a little bit of Roundup here for my herbicide. Otherwise, I have weeds to deal with.
Okay, we don't want to do that.
On the hillside here, these are highly erodible soils here. And not only that, but you just increase the carbon footprint by making multiple passes through here with a cultivator at this point in time.
Right. So this is like clay? Are we like in clay?
It's a clay loam. The thing is it's a bit of clay, but it's very fracturable. And the thing is that
wow.
And right up now, this is my shutting up the pop experience. As you'll see
that's what I'm waiting to hear.
It's all rock up here. So there's about 2 feet of soil up here on top of this stuff, and it's rock underneath it. Yeah.
So were you in Gigondas? Is that where you? And so is that where the love came from?
For Grenache, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that my wife and I decided, well, we're going to plant some Grenache at that point in time. So yeah, we got it. It's good.
You got it. Yeah. That's fabulous. It's nice to have a dream come true, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
We're going to taste some of that, aren't we?
Okay. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Besides what I do, these guys run wine right now. They run the Deerfield Beach Wine and Food Festival and the BocaRaton Wine and Food Fest.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always, this is like, there's a lot of projects going on in this trip.
I see.
So now you
Spirits.
Southern just bought a distributor?
It was a while ago. This was I had distribution down there probably 8 years ago.
Right.
J&P Wholesale, is that?
No,
it doesn't make sense. Another one. Anyway, so they got it bought up by Southern Wine and Spirits. And my deal is I'm a small producer. I make about 4,500 cases of wine here a year.
Right.
And unless you can be $1 million entity in somebody's book, it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's true if you're talking about Southern or National Premier, the big boys. But when you got little guys that you can work with, or not only that, if you don't want to be a distributorship, if you don't want to be with a distributor, there's direct to the consumer.
Well,
you can sell direct.
Yeah,
you have a wine club, right?
I do. I
that's
ship,
the stuff we're going to talk about. Because, well, I'm a big fan of your wines, and I was bugged you to be a part. You have children, right? Yeah, you have your daughters coming over. All right, I'm going to ask you a little bit about that in a bit, how they get into the business. I also want to talk about wine and food pairings when we start tasting a little bit.
Okay.
And what else? And I want to know where you're heading. You're doing 4,500 production. You want to stick with that, or you want to grow, or you still got extra acreage here?
We'll play it by ear. You kind of get an idea of Lake County, what it's all about. You see all these rolling mountains and stuff like that up here, and it's very rugged. And,
it's so picturesque. It's just beautiful. How much? Where does your property go to?
Right down there by those trees down there. You see the fence line down there.
your house?
Yes.
Did you build it or you bought it?
No, it was here.
It was right here?
Didn't look like this.
No. Was somebody living in it when you bought it, or? Yeah.
We bought the vineyard and the house and all that stuff.
And that was in what year?
2000.
Oh, in 2000. Oh, wow. So you're here 11, you're 12 years.
It's actually the stuff that we chip butted this year, the petite sirah here. And so we came in here in May and cut the tops off the vines here, and then inserted a petite sirah bud, like a little wedge into these pieces.
I'm coming down.
into the trunks here. Okay, one on each side here.
This is grafting.
Yeah, this is grafting. Okay, and then it pushed in petite sirah this year then. And so now we're getting it trellised out here on the wire out here. So next year we'll almost be back in business. We'll lose crop for 1 year, and yeah.
So tell me something. We were learning about how to differentiate what varietals are growing on what vines. So it's not about the grape as much as it is about the leaf.
Right.
So tell us, what is distinctive about a petite sirah leaf?
Well, I think it's probably it's a little bit more rounder, okay, and certainly doesn't have the jagged sinuses. It's very similar to Syrah over here, but probably not as not as dark in color, okay. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But, so you can see that they're probably similar in shape, okay.
So, and tell us the difference between a petite sirah and a syrah.
Well, a petite sirah really is not one of the classic Rhone varieties at this point in time, and I think Durif is the other synonymous name for it, okay. And but it's usually a smaller berry, tighter cluster, a little bit more phenolic and a little bit more astringent than Syrahs.
And darker in color? Is it more inkier?
It tends to be really, really concentrated. And I use this for a blender with Zinfandel.
And are they related?
There may be some parentage somewhere down the road. Yeah, back when, but I'm not totally sure on that.
There's been, I know there's speculation about it, but people argue that there's no relationship whatsoever, and then...
Well, you looked at the DNA stuff, they would tell you exactly, so I'd have to look at that, so... Yeah.
That's okay, we won't do that today.
Yeah. So, and just trying to lighten it up. Selectively doing it, yeah, he's good.
How long has he worked with you?
Since I've been here.
Yeah? 12 years. Cool. Wildlife do you have on your property?
Well, I like not to have any.
I know that.
Yes. But typically we're all fenced in here, so the issues we have is with turkeys and rabbits. They're not too much of a problem.
Yeah. So the deer are kept away?
Exactly.
This is the cab.
Yeah, so, and what we learned here, I think, is I came up here with, I had, 25 years of growing experience down in Napa down there.
And so you were with Rombauer, right?
Rombauer, exactly, and I was farming with 350 acres down there, and most of it was Cabernet Sauvignon. And so I was going to up here, I was going to show these people how to grow Cabernet up here.
What was your plan?
Well, the first 3 years I burned it up.
Oh, it's
Because the
hot
thing
up
is
here.
that, well, it is, because we figure we have about 8 to 10% more ultraviolet light here than we have in other areas here. So that being said, so we work the morning side here, or the cool side, and open it up here, and I pull laterals here and get a little bit more of that dappled light on the fruit at that point in time.
Wait, you're saying things that
Dappled light, basically that is when you get the pattern here and you have a leaf here and a leaf over here, and you get some light through there at certain times of the day, but the fruit is not out there naked sunbathing out there. We don't do that, okay? And then you'll see on this side here, on the afternoon side, hot afternoon side, we don't touch that at all. We leave the shoots kind of popping out here and kind of growing out here and help protect the fruit.
Oh, so you want to, okay.
Yeah, so I had to learn how to do this stuff, okay? So, and it took me a few years to do it, and yeah, so now it's working. So now we get good ripe fruit, not only with sugar ripeness, but we get the phenolic ripeness as well too. So that's the soft, fleshy tannins, okay, and you get a little higher pH in the wine at that point in time. So that's all very supple and tasty. Yeah, it took me a while to get the whole thing down. And see, we have to build a little bigger vine up here, trying a little bit stronger, so they can survive those heat events that we have up here periodically. And sometimes it gets to 105 degrees up here. We can have a couple days like that.
Right, but you got low humidity, so.
Yeah, low humidity, dry conditions up here for sure. But the sunshine is pretty intense up here.
Yeah, it feels it today, actually.
This is a cool day.
This is a cool day. Oh, right, it hasn't hit 100 yet.
No, it won't. Today it'd be probably about 90, 92 today. All this work is all done by hand.
All hand, okay. That's Are these all your grapes too?
No, that's a neighbor's property. That's an organic vineyard over there. So what we're looking at here now, this is Clear Lake. You see the southern end of Clear Lake down here. Anderson Marsh down here, which is State Park. It's a large bird sanctuary. Just natural lake in the state.
And the oldest?
Probably the oldest, probably. Yeah.
I heard it was about 3 million years old.
I think it's a lot older than that.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a lot older.
That's for, and it's the largest in the state.
Largest in the state here.
So we're only seeing a piece of it.
It's just a piece of it, right? It goes on up here, up to Upper Lake up here, which is about probably about 35, 40 miles up the way. Yeah.
That's a big lake.
So we have the wineries basically and the vineyards basically all kind of like surround the lake here. So you can actually kind of see there's vineyards up that way up there, and then Clay Shannon has his blocks up on the other side up there, the next ridge over. Okay. I don't know if you're going to go up that way.
Yeah, we are actually.
You'll like it. He's at a whole different perspective. He's a little bit higher. He looks back this way.
So a whole different, the sun is different, everything's different.
Exactly.
How many microclimates do you have up here?
I don't necessarily say we have a lot different ones, but the thing is, the hills, the red hills are a whole lot different than the valley areas, okay? The valley areas have these huge diurnal temperature swings where in the morning it typically can be 35, 40 degrees in the morning, sometimes, it's not unusual. And then 85, 90 degrees during the daytime. Yeah, so and grapes really like that. But more fertile soils. Here we got this nutrient limiting nutrients, yes, but we don't have the organic matter. That's why I supplement with compost, like I said earlier. So this vineyard over here is an organic vineyard over here. So here they do cultivate. Okay. So,
oh, I see.
Rather than
Yeah.
not fight the rocks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And we have a guest house on the property here too. So yeah,
oh, good to know.
Yeah. And so the whole idea here is so we can get people here. They can see it, touch it, and taste it. So.
And that's how they become. That becomes a part of you.
Exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm. So. And those peaks you see out there, that's Snow Mountain. That's about 45 miles away, 7,000 feet. So they have snow on them probably 5 months, 6 months out of the year.
You get much snow here?
We get snow typically maybe once or twice a year. Usually a couple of inches, and it's usually gone then. Yeah. So.
Warms up in the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. The sun comes out. More Cabernet Sauvignon over here.
How many acres of Cabernet do you have?
13.
Is that? Do you grow that most?
Yes, and I sell. I'm still selling about 60% of the fruit off the property to other wineries. I sell Cabernet to Trinchero, and I sell Zinfandel then to Rombauer, so my old employer.
Ah, so you've maintained the relationship there. That's a good thing.
That's good.
You got it, right?
And so I have room to grow if I want.
Ah, we're doing it. Back on the ride. This is a nice, sturdy little piece.
Yeah.
Where I live, they use golf carts, but I live in South Florida.
Golf cart wouldn't make it here.
No. One time they'd go down once, that'd be the end of it.
And so this here is, I think, actually the first vineyard terroir trail here. So we have a gate over here. Clay has a gate over here, his vigilance fence over there, so people can walk between the two tasting rooms here.
Oh, very cool.
Check out the vineyards, walk through the vineyards, and so the people can experience it. You don't usually get that. And the thing is usually when people go to the tasting rooms, all they do is go to the tasting room. That's it. Okay, this way here you can come out here and walk and see it and so forth. And there's not a lot to see right now. However, you see the fruit here, but the thing is during veraison when the fruits start to color up, start to taste like that, we encourage people to come out here.
You said you had a guest house. Is that something that you rent out? Mm-hmm. You do. All right. Well, we want to try to encourage some people to start coming and visiting Lake County.
Great. And the thing is, if you can do things in Lake County, you can do things. We offer other things other than just tasting and the wineries and stuff like that. There's hiking, mountain biking, cycling, swimming, whatever you want to do.
Hot air ballooning?
Not so much here. You can go down Napa and do that. But there's a lot of people like to fish. It's great. But you're kind of close here to going other things. You can go to the coast if you want. You can go down to Napa and do that whole thing down if you want to do that. So.
Formerly in this glass was a bottle of Greg Graham's. Was a little bit of Greg Graham's Sauvignon Blanc.
2011.
2011. It's gone. Now it's really gone. Very passion fruit driven. Tastes pink to me. Not pink wine, but it has that pink, like you say, passion fruit. But it's got beautiful acidity. Lovely wine. I'm going to try the Viognier.
This is from Bartolucci Vineyard down in Kelseyville. So this is the what we call the bench area down there. This is for the Sauvignon Blanc, all stainless steel fermented. This is half done in barrels and half done in stainless steel. The reason for that is that stainless steel, I get more of the fruit characteristic, like fermented a little cooler. Barrel fermented portion of it gives me more richness into the wine, okay? So I can do a little bit more lees contact, build a little bit more into it. But using what I call experienced barrels. So barrels that are not providing oak. So you'll notice there's that oak in this wine per se.
Because you don't really want that in a Viognier.
I think, Viognier, the whole fruit character is all hallmark about what the variety is all about. And you start mucking with that whole thing, you kind of like miss it, okay? And I was one of the original members of the Viognier Guild, what became the Hospice de Rhone down there. And we sat around back that was a long time ago, back in the early 90s. And we were tasting Condrieux and all that. The time thing is, and what I liked in the variety basically was the fruit character of the wines.
So when you say you were tasting Condrieux, you're talking about? We're talking Burgundy, we're talking Rhone, Gigondas.
Yeah, well not Gigondas, but basically in the northern Rhone area there. And also just outside of Code Road T there is Kundru, basically where George Rene does his his thing. Yeah,
Right.
he's the only person that can put Kundru on the label that I'm aware of.
Wow, and that's that's
Very
the
small.
epitome of what Viognier
Well, that's
should
the
be.
benchmark. That was a benchmark for all of us at that time at least.
Right.
Is it still now? I don't know.
It's still
I
good. Have you had one lately?
I can't afford it.
Who can afford them, right? That's true. That's true.
And then we have the Grenache. Yeah, so you'll see, I make a lot of wines. Okay, I tell people I'm a winemaker. Okay, so even besides these, I'm doing some Petit Verdot, Malbec, a little bit of Tempranillo, Cab Franc, and Petit Verdot as well too, that I use for blending in with the Cabernet at this point in time. And then now I'm going to be doing a I don't know if it's going to be a Red Hills Red or exactly what it's going to be called just yet. Okay, it'll be a blend of Petit Verdot, Malbec, Cab Franc, and let's see what else. Cabernet.
Cab Sauv. Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you're doing all the Bordeaux varietals in there.
That one, yeah, exactly. And I do that Cinder Cone then, which I mentioned before, is a blend of Cab Sauv, Syrah, Grenache, and Malbec.
Oh, okay, I was going to say Pinot Noir, but I realized you got Sonoma Coast.
Sonoma
It's
Coast,
not
yeah.
really in there.
You know, I love making Pinot Noir. Okay, it's the kind of wine that makes you a better winemaker.
Because it's why?
Well, because it's a variety typically that less is better. Okay, and it responds to grapefruit, good winemaking, good sound barrels. Okay, simple as that. Okay, and I like Pinot Noir for its elegance.
And it really does take something to make a good Pinot Noir.
This is Grenache. And as I mentioned to you up at the top up there, we concentrate it not only in the vineyard but in the winery as well too. So here I'm doing about 8 to 10% bleed, or what they call a saunier, okay, to concentrate the fruit a little bit.
He's known. Oh, it's so bright.
It's more of the red fruit camp, kind of Pinot Noir-ish in a way, okay, in that it has more of the red fruit camps, kind of cherry pomegranate, but this has a little bit more spice component to it, maybe a hint of tobacco.
I get the tobacco on the back of my palate. And the red fruit's all over. And I like the pomegranate. That's a nice description. Really, really nice. So this is what you were doing. Is that when we went through the vineyard?
Yes,
this is coming from those?
That was exactly. That was on the downhill, on the uphill side, exactly, where we were walking at there. Make about 450 cases of this. The Viognier ends up bouncing around between 300 and maybe 500 cases, depending upon the year at this point in time. Sauv Blanc, at this point in time, I'm doing about 500 cases of that. So all small production. Smallest production is the Pinot Noir, that's 150 cases. The Cab is right now is about 175 cases. Everything else small increments at this point in time.
And you're sourcing your fruit down in Sonoma, or do you have vineyards there?
No, I source it from San Giacomo's.
Oh, nice.
It's a Roberts Roadblock, so it's a real kind of unique piece. It's just south of Cotati, in an area they call a Petaluma Gap.
Sure.
Very cool. Okay. Didn't make it 2011.
No.
Did not.
Weren't
ripen.
happy with the
did
fruit.
Not ripen.
Wow. So you have a certain area that you're getting the fruit from.
Same rows each year. The thing is, the San Giacomo's, they've been around a long time.
Yes.
They know what it's all about. Okay. And the thing is, it has to meet my criteria. It's a $38 bottle of wine. Okay. And if it's not there, I can't do it.
Right.
They
Absolutely.
understand
Absolutely. And so does the consumer. Lee, did you want to try the rosé? Because I know you're looking for the perfect rosé.
And what's your characteristics of your rosé?
It's nice, easy drinking, good acidity, done dry. Okay. It's Grenache and Syrah.
Yeah, if you have a bottle of them, I'd like to try.
Yes, I can.
So, Greg, you have children, don't you?
Yes, I have 3.
3? Girl, boys?
The oldest, my daughter Lisa, she's actually And this weekend here, as you come out, this is the Wine Adventure weekend. They're all going to be here today. So it'll be a family reunion. And not only that, then my wife's parents will be up here. We've got her aunts and uncles coming in from all over the country. Her brothers coming up back from Montana.
So the 1,700 attending are mostly your family?
Well, no. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, no, they come in to work. So in other words, we feed them, give them a place to sleep, and all the wine they can drink, and they're all happy. They all come and work.
Hey, it's not a bad deal. Listen, that's what we all do for each other.
It's a grind, okay, for sure. It's a big grind, okay, but they enjoy it. They keep coming back. And I don't know what that's all about.
So I'm curious now. You've been doing this. You've had this property since 2000.
Yes, 12
You've
years.
been in the winemaking industry for over 25 years.
I would say graduated in Davis in 82, 83. So yeah, I've been in 30 years.
And are there any of the children interested in?
My daughter's a big foodie. Okay, and although she likes the business, she's more of a marketing person. Okay, so she can sell wine.
Right.
But the thing is, I don't make enough basically to justify another person on the payroll at this time. So she has a day job.
Well, I mean, how long are you going to?
We'll see. The thing is, this is my retirement, right?
Oh, you're in retirement now.
No,
so this is it.
Retirement. How about that? Yeah. No, this is not. It's not retirement by no stretch. Okay, no stretch. No. And so I'm doing the farming aspect of it, the winemaking aspect of it, and sales as well too. So
this is
working in a tasting room. I work in a tasting room. So yeah.
And you work in the tasting room.
It's very nice. I love the peach color to it. It's kind of like that combination of a little bit of the golden strawberry color to it. The color is very unique. It's got great flavor, nice and dry. Very nice.
That's a pretty rosé.
You could drink a cold bottle of this.
Well, and this is kind of the perfect place for it up here. People have, our whole demographics up here, and Walt, you can chime in on this thing, but the thing is that people have a lot of guest accommodations up here. Okay, so houses on the lake. So they live in other areas, so they come up here and vacation and come up on weekends and that sort of thing. Okay, but that being said, the thing is that they bring friends and family up too. Okay, so that is how we are building our business.
So people who are already here, when people want to go on holiday, they're going to come visit their friends, their family who live or have a vacation home around the lake.
Hey, we can go do some more.
Around the largest lake in the entire country.
Yeah. Well, in this California, state of California.
Oh, in the state of California.
Yes.
Clear Lake.
Yeah.
It's the oldest in the country.
Which is over 3 million years old.
Okay.
Well, we'll encourage that because it's a beautiful, beautiful area outside, and it's our first time here, so we're all newcomers.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know what Greg was saying about doing it all? I already told Greg the story. I came up to pick something up. I was talking to Marianne, his wife, and they're sulfuring in this time. So the guy gets off the tractor, takes off his breathing apparatus, and it's Greg. And I'm thinking, I don't think he did that at Rombauer.
2007. Great wine with grilled anything.
Great wine with grilled anything.
Yes.
I grilled raccoon myself on my hair today.
We're going to be doing Syrah sliders this weekend.
Syrah sliders. Ooh. What does that mean? What's in a Syrah?
Be ground beef and all this other stuff that my daughter puts into the meat with a little bit of Syrah in there as well too. Caramelized onions, a little sriracha,
Love that. But put it on a tuna burger for me. So the non-meat eater over here. So your Syrah, because I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit, about pairing the wines. So, I mean, this seems to me like it would go with pretty much just about anything. It's just light, easy, and you can have that with fruit, you can have that with cheese, you can have that with breakfast, right? The Sauvignon Blanc, what do you think? What would be a good pairing for your Sauvignon Blanc?
I don't know. Probably something light, okay. Some little fish would be great. Okay, done on nice light cream sauce would be great like that.
Salads.
Yeah, salads.
Give it a salad.
Crisp salads.
And actually, this I've had this one with the rosé with like a little strawberry salad. Okay.
Yeah. I think that would be delightful with
some shrimp. Yeah.
What's
It's got a nice level of acidity for the shrimp.
In the Vietnamese, basically, that's your spicy food. That's your Thai food. That's your curry and stuff like that. Yeah, just because of the spice. Because the thing is about Vietnamese is very refreshing a wine at that point in time. This is where a lot of wines, typically when you get spicy foods, typically tend to exacerbate the heat in the food. The Viognier is very refreshing, very cooling. Yes.
And we have our Grenache.
Very flexible. You could chill that wine a little bit if you wanted to, okay? Or basically, I kind of looked at for pairings with kind of more of the white meat, so that's turkey, chicken, pork tenderloin.
I think this would be a good Thanksgiving wine.
Or as well.
I could see that.
Just like you probably where you put a Pinot Noir.
That too. But we don't have a Pinot Noir here. We're looking at our Grenache.
Yeah, exactly.
And finally, the Syrah. We just talked about that.
Yeah.
Put it in sliders.
That, or I think with grilled meats, stuff like steaks, stuff like that off the grill. It's good.
It's great, Syrah.
Everything's wonderful. Thank you,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Appreciate it very, very much.
I'm glad it worked out.
I'm glad it worked out, too.
Don't mind me. I get a little bit nervous here about things. Yeah.
That's all right. It worked out fine. I do hope we'll get to see some of your wines at the American Fine Wine Competition. And we'll talk more. I told you a little bit about what these guys do. They'll let you know too. But we'll try and see what we can do about promoting your wine club.
Sure. So you're gonna go down and hook up on Monty?
The long and winding road took us to, finally, Lake County and Gregory Graham. Come on in, let's go meet Mr. Graham. Well, that was a lovely visit with Gregory Graham. We got to taste some of his Rhone varietals, took a nice trip up through the vineyards, and now we have another stop. Let's move on.